Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to KerbSide Collection, second show, Kerbside Pick-ups. In this show, I'm joined by my good friend Shane Hoffmann, no relation to Philip Seymour or Dustin. Well, as I'm assuming he might tell you different. You can find Shane on Instagram at Blue Ray the Cunter. He's got a great channel there, and highly recommend you following him. Just to let you all know, in this show, we're going to be covering off all the self-indulgent things when it comes to physical media for me and Shane, and also giving you some industry news where it's suitable. We'll be covering off what we've recently picked up, anything exciting that we have on the way as well, and that we may have pre-ordered or that's in the post, a roundup of recent releases and upcoming ones from most of the labels we all know and love. And as I said, any exciting industry news we happen to have come across. And as a bonus for this episode, the upcoming 4K releases for Australia all the way until the end of January that you may not have heard about so far. Yeah, so after that long spiel, Shane, tell us what exciting deliveries you've had recently.
I've had a big stack come in, so I've kind of been holding off a little bit and just getting more big orders come in rather than dribs and drabs. But yeah, I've had a couple Kino ones come in. Obviously, Sudden Death, which I watched a few nights ago, and that was really good. So that was a good upgrade from the Blu-ray Cinema Cult one I had for a while.
Okay.
So I watched that one. Yeah, I didn't watch too many this week because the wife was away, so I kind of hang out to watch them with her as well. But yeah, it's got the Mexico trilogy,
Oh,
which
nice. Yeah.
I think we'll jump into that later today. Like the weather is shocking here in Tassie, so we did plan to see a movie, but it's just looking a bit rough. They were predicting like snow coming down 200
Yeah.
below, which is really low. I've never seen it that low here before.
My mother-in-law is up from Tassie, and she showed me a map. I want to finish that. Showed me a map of Tassie with all the snow, with all the snow where it's actually located. And like most of the bottom half of the state is covered in snow at the moment, which is it's spring. But actually, thinking back to past, when I used to live in Tassie, Tassie does get a bit of snow in spring, or in September, I'll say. I remember it snowing in Devonport once in September. That was kind of weird. Wasn't massive snow, but yeah, that's keeping you at home today in the warm.
Oh, yeah, it's started raining earlier and it was kind of light, and it gradually got heavier, and now the Mount Wellington's gone, so it
Oh,
could be
really?
snowing up there right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's about 6, 7 degrees at the moment. So probably better off
Damn.
just staying home and cracking into the unwatched stack on the floor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically I think I really want to see Desperado today and just
Okay.
see how good that transfer is. I haven't heard too much about it,
Only
like
one of those
transfer
is in
wise.
4K, isn't it? Isn't it only one of
Yeah,
those is in 4K? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, just Desperado,
Mm.
which for me, I thought it was a bit weird because I actually thought, oh yeah, 4K Mexico
Yeah.
trilogy. I thought it was all going to be in 4K,
Yeah.
and then I just saw it was Desperado, which is all good because that's my fave out of all of them. I wonder why Arrow didn't just go the distance and try and do all of it.
So yeah, that's an interesting point. I'm sure they have reasons. I'd like to know them, to be honest. I actually have the DVD box of that set of that I would have brought whenever that was released, like mid 2000s, early 2000s, even before I even started buying Blu-rays. And honestly, they're still in the packet because I have seen Desperado. I think I've seen them, but I've just never watched them since I brought the DVDs, which I probably never will because it's tough to watch a DVD, to be perfectly honest nowadays.
I'm not gonna lie, it's tough watching a DVD.
Yeah, yeah.
Just the quality is it's a bit
Yeah,
iffy at times.
it can be. I recently picked up, well, relatively recent, I'd say in the last few months. I was out op shopping, like we at a Lifeline or something, and I picked up some old 80s classics that honestly, movies that have not had a Blu-ray release or whatnot, all ones that maybe have and have been discontinued. I'm happy to be corrected on that. But things like I brought like a box set that had Billy Madison and Kindergarten Cop and things like that. And I watched Kindergarten Cop in it because a lot of my mates were talking about it for some reason. I thought, oh, what's that? It cost me $2 or whatever. And I was like, it's not bad, but it's not awesome. Like it does feel like you've got a bit of Vaseline over your eyeballs when you watch your DVD. And
For sure. Yeah.
it's such a first world
Yeah.
problem.
I mean the some DVDs are quite good, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then other ones quite cloudy, not super clear. But I mean, that's what we had. I think
Yeah.
back in the day when we had our old TVs, better
Yeah.
because the TVs
Yes.
today are
Too much.
resolution that is so high. It's
That's a really
crazy.
good point. That's a really good point. It makes a lot of sense actually, because I'm thinking back, like I used to watch a lot of VHS tapes. I lived on VHS tapes, and I would prefer to probably go back and watch a VHS tape of Raiders of the Lost Ark than I would a DVD of it. And I think the definition might be different if you'd watch it on an old cathode TV. It probably would be a lot better. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Well, I know there's people out there that have VHS and swear by the VHS, and they
Yeah,
will
right.
only watch it on VHS
Yeah, okay.
because they've still got their old school tube TV, and it looks
Wow,
immaculate on that. So
that's cool.
I can't think of the page I follow. I think on my personal Instagram, but he's got it's all 80s, total 80s room,
Right.
80s TV, VHS screen.
Oh, is
I'll
he a
have to look it
redheaded
up.
fella? Is he a redheaded
Uh,
guy who he's
no,
kind of been an actor,
different,
an extra in parts? Okay, different guy.
different guy, but I will look it up.
Yeah.
It's like living in the 80s or something, or
Okay.
going back to the 80s. I can't think of it, but I'll look it up after this. I'll send you the link so you can check it out because his collection unreal, and
I'm,
he's always collecting a lot of figures. Say Voltron, he's got
oh, yeah,
all
yeah.
the
Yeah.
he's got the whole contraption built up,
Yeah.
and he might have spares and
Nice.
multiple copies of this and that. So yeah, pretty. So I love seeing that stuff because I grew up in the
Yeah.
'80s and I remember that from when I was a kid.
You can't underestimate
So
the power of nostalgia, man. Look, it's a big money spinner, nostalgia. That's why hanging on to what we've got now, like years to come, could be worth something to us, could fund retirement. Fingers crossed.
well,
Well,
I mean, that's it. I don't have DVDs on display purely
mm,
because
same.
I don't have shelf space to put them out. I
Yeah.
don't have my VHS on display. Once again, no shelf space to put it out.
Yeah.
But I've still got a heap of old ones that used to have way back in the day. I've got those X-Files episodes,
Mm.
cliffhangers,
I
and
used to have
they'd
them.
release it near Christmas, and my dad would always buy me that episode that was lingering from where they cut it off. And
Right.
Christmas Eve we'd watch it, and it'd be
Yeah, nice.
exciting because it's like,
Yeah.
wow, I just got this. I get to watch it before the TV people see it. And,
I've recently been watching the X-Files, started rewatching a bit of it, and still on the first season, and it's still like I love that show. I was obsessed by that show through the 90s. Like I wouldn't miss it. But going back and watching it is very B horror, but I love it even more for that now. Like it's kind of, yeah, it's really, before it was like the top of TV, like it was peak TV, and now you look back and it is very, I don't know, it feels cheap. But that again, I mean, I am in only the first season, but still love it. It's still great. So back to the topic. Is there anything else exciting you've had turn up, or anything that you've got coming that you wanted to shout
well,
out?
I've got like a couple of the Criterions I was after,
Oh,
Videodrome,
oh yeah,
Uncut
nice.
Gems, which I haven't
Yeah,
seen yet, and I think
yeah.
I may need to bust that open today
Depends how
because
stressed you want to feel. I want I want the uncut gems criterion, but it's been too expensive for me to bother with at the moment. But yeah, if you want to, if you feel your heart's up to it, absolutely watch. Like
that's the
it's
whole reason I didn't buy it like for a long time because
yeah,
everyone that had it like on eBay and online, it was just through the roof, and I was like,
yeah,
nah, I
yeah,
can't justify that too much.
yeah. Even on Amazon at the moment, I think it's like $65. I'm not paying that. I'll pay if it's less than 40, I'll get it one day. But at the moment, I'm not going to bother. Like it's excessive. But highly recommend it. But it's such a cool movie. But man, it's stressful. Very stressful.
I mean, most of the stuff I've already put up. Like I did a story of the stack, and then
Mm-hmm.
I've slowly
Yep.
did posts for what I've watched. But I mean, new stuff, I'd say Repo Man, Criterion release of that
Yeah.
page from the States, the Archivec. They get a lot of Criterion stuff, and they posted pictures of a stack of these boxes, and I just looked and went,
Right.
wow, that looks like a fatty, a real big one.
Yeah.
So, and I've got the Repo Man umbrella release, which now
Yep.
it's going to be like, well, yeah, you're great, but this premium version is rolling straight in.
I want to
So,
ask you about that because I've actually, when I pre-ordered Caligula off Umbrella, I brought Repo Man because it was $10, and that would just made up the cost for the free shipping. And they obviously send
Yeah.
it at the same time, so that will come in a month's time. So 16th of October, Caligula releases. So I'll get my Repo Man then. And I've never seen Repo Man. I've only heard really great things. So I was pretty happy to pay $10 for it. But then almost immediately I saw Criterion were doing a release as well. So I'm happy with $10 for that. That'll do.
I think this is like, I don't know, someone may jump in at some point and say, oh, that's not right, but I'm sure Criterion actually had a Blu-ray release of Repo previously,
Okay.
because I know I saw it a few years back and I was like, oh yeah, I
Oh.
really want to grab that, because I haven't seen it in ages myself,
They
but it is
they may
a real,
have, because they do
I
they
mean, yeah, they do that. So,
yeah, they have done a lot of 4K upgrades on their things. So yeah. Anything else coming in the post that you've ordered or pre-ordered that about?
that one, oh man, I was keen to get the Stepfather, but I don't know if I'll get it this week. Like, I've been after that movie for years because it's never been readily available on Blu-ray in
Mm,
Australia. And I
yeah.
think German releases brought it out in media books, and they were so expensive. There was one that was the first one, and then they did another one for part two. And these were going for like well over $100
Oh,
plus
really?
the ridiculous shipping amount to
Yeah, yeah,
get
yeah.
them like sent to Australia. And I was like, I can't
It's hard to
can't
justify.
justify these prices.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So
I get it absolutely. Like I've spent a bit lately, but I'll go through that in a second, I guess. Yeah,
and
unless you.
probably the
Sorry,
only
mate.
other
Go
one
ahead.
was Richard Pryor, Live on the Sunset Strip,
Okay.
one of my all-time fave
Yeah,
stand-up movies. I mean, all his stand-up films are great.
yeah.
That one in particular is just raw. It's
I think I've
he
seen
was
that. And
just
Richard Pryor was a goat. Well, yeah, he's a goat for sure. He was great. I
oh,
love his movies with Gene Wilder, the Gene Wilder movies he did, and obviously Brewster's Millions and stuff. I loved. Yeah, he was good.
well, that I think it could be Eureka. They're bringing out that triple with Stir
Mm,
Crazy,
okay.
Hear No Evil,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think Another You.
Another year. Yeah.
It looks like it comes in a big box, and I think there could be some upgrade transfer on it. Because
Okay.
I got Australian releases from
Yeah.
way back now. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
they did, I think, Stir Crazy and Another You together. I've got Hear No Evil on its own, and even those releases, you just wouldn't see them anymore. It's like they came and they went, and that was it.
Yeah, I think
Um,
Umbrella did because I have a DVD box set of those three movies and plus Richard Pryor, the stand-up special. I think it's the
hmm,
Sunset Strip one and in a DVD box set. But then I pretty recently upgraded to Umbrella. We're doing a classics of comedies two pack in each, and that had those three movies. And I can't remember what the other one is. To be honest, I'd have to physically go and look at them to figure out what it was. Yeah, but yeah.
it's
Anyway,
always fun when you got to dig one out because you can't remember what
oh
it was.
yeah. I've heaps of times I think I'll be sitting here. I'll think about a movie. Most people are the same, but you'll be watching something and it reminds you of something else. I'm like, I'm sure I've got that, and then you have to go hunt to see where you've got it or where you've got it stored. Remember your own filing system and you file stuff away.
Actually, I had this happen the other night because I was
Yeah.
going through the upgrades that I got last week, and
Mm.
I got Taxi Driver,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, well, I can upgrade that now because it's got the 4K and the Blu-ray, and I'm like, yep, I'm happy with that. So I go to dig out it was a 4K remaster. So they brought out different films that had these special 4K remaster things on them.
Yeah.
That that was one of them, and another one was Moneyball, which
Ah,
I would love to grab that if I ever saw it because
yeah.
I mean it'll probably get a 4K eventually, but it'd be just good to have it anyway. So I go to find this version of Taxi Driver, and I can't find it. It's
Oh, really?
it's just
Disappear.
disappeared into the ether of the collection.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've already grabbed it and I've put it aside in the cupboard, which I can't find it in there either, or it's hidden deeply somewhere in the stacks on the floor. It's just the struggles of being a movie collector. It's hard.
Of having some, yeah. I when I first cataloged my movies, I cataloged because I also cataloged my TV collection as well, and I put down I had The Walking Dead season 3, and I only brought in my mind I was positive I brought the first 3 seasons of The Walking Dead, and I never brought any more since because that's kind of when I lost interest in buying it, or life happened and I didn't bother. And I go to my shelves when I rearrange them, and I've only got the first 2 seasons. I'm like, fuck, it's season 3, and I still can't find it. I don't know where it is if I have got it, but it's still catalogued that I own it. So I'm thinking I wouldn't have catalogued it if I didn't see the pile of it in the pile. But anyway, that's an aside. Just like you said, the frustrations of owning this stuff. You don't know whether someone's taxed it on you or not. Some visitor has gone, no, I'll grab that. You just don't know, right? I'd hope not.
Which I wouldn't think so. I mean,
no.
We don't really have many people over.
No, same. No.
And I don't really show anyone any of this unless I really know them and they're close friends. So yeah, I don't know. It's here somewhere. But apart from that, the only other pre-order that is coming out soon, I thought, is Elm Street. Pre-ordered that mega steelbook edition,
nice.
and that it's coming out the 30th of this month, which I was like,
Who's
wow.
Who's releasing that? Is that a Shout Factory one?
I'm not 100% sure if it's one of them. I think it's just maybe standing on its own feet with another label.
Oh, okay.
Some steelbooks just come out and there they are.
Yeah.
People are selling them.
I recently picked up the Blu-ray box set of that, and it's not something I'll bother upgrading, to be honest. Yeah, going to struggle to get into them. Yeah. Did you want me to go through what I've...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, hit me with your movie stick.
Well, I'll start off with the basics. I'm going to call them basics because I've upgraded my Indiana Jones and Back to the Future finally from Blu-ray to 4K, physical 4K. I do have them on iTunes as well in 4K, but I got them in a recent-ish deal. I still think I paid too much for them because they should be cheaper than they are. But anyway, I got them and I'm happy because I'm not sure if you've seen the Indiana Jones 4Ks. Have you seen those?
I've got them back there. They're immaculate.
They are immaculate. Some of the best transfers of any kind of ever seen. Just insane. I've had quite a few arrivals. I've spent up massively the last 2 months, so I'm not going to cover everything I've got. I'm just going to cover my highlights. So I did pick up recently one I'm really proud of is the Wonka Wai Criterion box set. That was almost half price on Amazon, and I snapped that up, and that's an amazing box set. I've never seen any of his movies, but I know they're great from my trusted sources. Keen to get into those. That's a Chinese director. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. You might have heard of the movie In the Mood for Love or Chungking Express or something.
I haven't delved much into like that side of cinema. Like,
I'd highly recommend Asian cinema. Asians, yeah. I can give you just a list of a few directors' names, and I would just recommend checking out anything they've done. You would have heard of Bong Joon-ho, surely.
Yep.
Yeah, just check out everything of his you can. And Park Chan-wook, both Korean directors. Park Chan-wook, mate, he makes some astonishing stuff. Like, goddamn, just such brilliant cinema. And yeah, I like my Studio Ghibli as well. Also, what I've been picked up, I've done a bit of an Arrow run. So I've picked up a lot of the Dario Argento 4Ks and also got those, all except the yellow box, the Giallo Essentials box sets. I'm really keen to dive into those. They were just good to have as a collector, but also I kind of do like the Giallo genre, especially the American Giallo, which is like some old Brian De Palma stuff.
Yep.
There's some good things. Even I've kind of lost the name of the movie I was trying to think of. Body Double, maybe. I don't know if you've seen Body Double. That's
coming out. I would like to get my hands on that.
I will definitely be wanting to grab that at some point because that was a really interesting movie. That's an American style version of Giallo. So if you want to know what Giallo is like, that's what that is. It's Body Double have you seen Body Double?
Maybe once,
okay,
but not for a very long time. I almost picked it up like 6-7 years ago. JB actually had it on Blu-ray in the R-rated section. It could have been a cinema cult release, or it could have just been
that might make sense. Yeah,
another one that just came and went.
Yeah, they do that. They're probably laying around somewhere in a warehouse, honestly. But yeah, I'd be keen to pick that up because it was a movie that I know when I watched it, I was like, it's just so weird and I kind of like it, I kind of don't. But I know it's one of those ones on a rewatch. It's going to be one of those ones you just fall in love with more and more.
Yeah.
I also picked up the Underworld box set, the 4K box set of that. I snagged one of those from DVD Hub. Because JB Hi-Fi, they only got a limited release of that. And things I have coming. I'm going to cover a bit of TV that I also picked up because I've been collecting a bit of TV lately as well, trying to get on top of that. and I do need to go thrift shopping to try and complete a collection because I got the Breaking Bad box set, which I've been after since I finished watching that show, and I've finally pulled the trigger and forked out for it. I've got a British series called Ghosts, which I hear is really, really funny. I'm not sure if you've heard of that. I've got a complete box set of that from JB pretty recently.
They had
And
like
some,
super cheap deals on their box sets for Father's Day. I don't know if they're still on now, but they're like
yeah, they had
25% off.
Yeah, that's why I picked it up. It was, I can't remember what it cost, but I thought it was pretty reasonable price. It was 40 odd dollars, I think, for the whole
Hmm.
set. So it's only on DVD. I mean, I'll buy DVDs if it's TV. If there's a Blu-ray version of it, I'll buy the Blu-ray. But if it's TV, I'm happy to get a DVD. It's just otherwise you're just not going to get it. Also, a while back in the Prime sales, I'm going to call out or shout out a show called Sliders. I don't know if you ever saw a show in the 90s called Sliders. Yeah, you
Oh
know
yeah,
it. Man,
oh yeah.
I was so stoked to pick up that DVD box set of that because it's a Mill Creek release, so I'm hoping the quality's all right. But man, I love Sliders. That was so cool.
Mill Creek do some really great stuff,
They
for
do.
older stuff. It's just a shame that it's harder to get that stuff here, and
Yeah,
the shipping costs and whatnot.
yeah, it
But
is.
I think they're like a bit like the American imprint. Like they have slick
Mm,
covers and the older releases and sliders. And they're like you mentioned that Friday night special,
yeah,
7:30 sliders,
yeah.
uh, every week. And I think a German label put that out,
Oh,
massive box set, but it
oh,
was so expensive. Like
yeah.
you wouldn't pay that to get it. So DVD is like you want to see it. That's going to be
I
the next best option.
I think from memory it was like $30. It was pretty cheap for the entire
Mm,
series. But speaking of Mill Creek, I actually have because I one of my favorite sitcoms of all time, probably my second favorite show of all time, was Third Rock from the Sun. And I tried
yep.
forever to get that. And the only way I could get it was through a Mill Creek release. And honestly, the first season or two of that, the quality is really bad. Like it's almost like it's copied from a VHS tape. It's the aspect ratio is all out, but it does improve as
Hmm.
the seasons move on. And the sound is terrible. And I'm like, God damn, what have these people done? But I mean, it's tolerable, but it does get better as the seasons move on. So I'm hoping Sliders is not the same. I hope it stands up straight away. Yeah, and I just want to go through what I've also got coming because I'm a fiend, man. I'm a fiend. I have
Fiend
pre-ordered.
alike.
I have. Well, that's why I've created this show, right? Because hopefully we get some like-minded fiends to join in and yeah, tell us all about this stuff as well.
They're out there.
Oh yeah, there are. It's a nice little subculture. This one, I think it's a good one. It's better than a lot of other potentially dangerous ones, I guess. I have pre-ordered the Beetlejuice and Twisters steelbooks. Beetlejuice, I don't know when that's coming out. It's probably going to be next year, but I'm happy to wait. Pre-ordered those. And one I am excited about is a Trick or Treat limited edition 4K
Mm.
from Arrow that comes at the end of October. Also got Boy and the Heron that I've ordered from the UK. I ordered that before an Australian release was announced, so I should have that soon too. What else have I got coming? As I said before, Caligula, the Umbrella release of Caligula, and Pulse, which is a J horror movie in December. That's coming. And just quietly, I found a site yesterday you've probably heard of called Frugo. You heard of Frugo?
Frugo.
Yeah. Have you
Funny
heard of that?
enough,
Yeah.
I saw Frugo at the vet because we need to get clippers for our
Right.
girl because she's very
Oh,
fluffy, and the site was Frugo.
you're kidding.
I'm
Oh,
not kidding.
I'm going to recommend because I found it yesterday and I went through their 4K catalog, their 4K
Mm,
movies, and some of the
yep.
titles in there, they do come from the US. So they're 4K, so they're obviously not region locked, but the Blu-rays that come with them will be. And that's fine. That's not an issue. But some of the prices are exorbitant, especially when you look at stuff that's been released in Australia. But some of them aren't. And I was like, I'm getting these because I was looking for a movie called The Man from Nowhere, which is another, I
Yep.
think, a Korean or Japanese movie I've only heard great things about. Saw that in 4K. It was like $33. Then I found three others. I picked up Love and Monsters, which is on Netflix at the moment. But no, Love and Monsters was actually filmed up the road from me here in Brisbane. It's actually a really fun movie, man. I'd probably recommend you checking that out. It's really good value. And I got that cheap because it's cheaper than it is on Amazon. Sicario on 4K because I've been only seen that for really expensive, and also Cabin in the Woods, which I've had on my wish list for many years, but it's never dropped below $40, and I got it for less than maybe 35, I think, on Frugo. So they're all been delivered. So I'm actually kind of excited about getting ones I was surprised going through their list at how some of them are. Well, I thought they were reasonably priced. Other people have other ideas on that. Some of them are exorbitant. Some of the costs of some of them, but I was happy to pick out those four at reasonable cost for me. So that was a big bonus, to be perfectly honest.
I
Yeah,
think if you can get a 4K from like overseas between 30 and $50, depending on what it is, I think that's pretty reasonable
yeah,
considering some of
yeah,
our releases, as we've discussed before, are rising
yeah,
for what they are,
absolutely.
steelbooks or, like some of the umbrella ones, just a straight up Mario, $55.
Yeah, yeah,
But for me, I probably wouldn't go and buy that. I think that's just a bit too much, just for
yep,
a standard release.
yeah. I agree.
Um,
I agree. Yeah. Even when they throw in these art cards in the special box, it's like it's just some movies you're willing to pay for it, some you're not, I guess. Like it just does depend. Oh, I also want to mention I skipped over it completely because I recommended it to you. I put it on my Kerbside Collections page in it's pronounced Incendies, which is the Denis Villeneuve movie. You might
yep.
read it as Incendies, but it's mate, it's to get that on 4K, 101 doing God's work in releasing that on 4K because I've been looking for it. The Blu-ray was really expensive, and then the 4K came out, and that was an instant pre-order for me. I think it was like $40 in the UK, and it's a must-see movie, dude. Just watch it without knowing anything about it, and you do not want to know anything about it. It's because you'll. I mean, look, I'm a big Denis Villeneuve fan anyway. From even before the Dune series, like he's an amazing
Mm.
director, one of the best we have at the moment. And to go back and watch this, it's such a slow burn of a movie like it's confronting, it's hard hitting, it's devastating, it's emotional, and it is a drama. It's set in the Middle East, so there's a lot of bleak landscape that you're going to look at.
Mm.
But
Yep.
holy shit, it is a movie to see. Yeah, really keen to watch that again very soon. As soon as I have my house to myself, I'll watch that again because it's hard when you've got visitors in the house for a couple of weeks to watch what you want to watch, kind of. Yeah.
I picked that up purely just from
Mm.
what you just said to me
Yeah.
last
You've
week. And I was like, well, if Adam's dropping it like that, I think I need to grab it. So
yeah. So have you received it yet, or is it in the post?
I got it last week.
Oh, nice.
Haven't watched it yet.
Yep.
There's some films like they'll sit next to the watch stack near the TV
Yeah.
cabinet for a long time because
Yeah.
I either haven't seen them and they go for 3 hours, or I have
Mhm.
seen them and they're that intense. I need to be ready to watch it again.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
mean, it just the two-edged sword. You've got to invest in some of these movies
Absolutely.
with all the themes that they're packing. Some of them are tougher than others.
Yeah. I'm a bit similar. Well, just to relate to that, that's why I have a section in my collection of just my Asian cinema, Asian movies. And I've got the way I catalog mine. I used to have an unwatched pile basically, and that was getting too big. I didn't. So what I ended up doing is just filing them away in my regular collection. But I put a sticker on them, so I know I haven't seen this movie. So if I'm browsing and I want to watch something I've not seen, I just pick something with the yellow sticker. And my Asian collection is getting more yellow stickers the day it goes because I do feel I have to psych myself up to watch those. Not only because
Mm,
they're subtitled, I know I have subtitles on everything anyway, but I think a lot of it is to do with the subtitles. I don't like to watch dubbed versions of stuff. Like I want to hear it in the original language and watch the subs as well. So sometimes you've got to get yourself in the mood for that. Like I'm
mm.
like I'll wake up one morning and I'm like, what am I going to watch today? Like it's generally one of my first thoughts is what am I going to watch today? I don't know if that's just me or other people. I hope it's other people. I hope it's not just me. But and I'll go, oh yeah, I'm going to watch that joint security area, which I'll watch that from Park Chan Wook, and then I get to it and I'll make me breakfast. I said, oh, I can't be fucked watching subtitles right now. I'm not in the mood. I'm too tired or whatnot, and I'll watch
Mm.
something else. Yeah, and like you said, with those like Lawrence of Arabia, I picked up the steelbook of that. Still haven't watched it because I love that movie so much, but it's over 3 hours. I'm like, this is I need to. It's a commitment to watch something like that, right? So yeah,
I mean, for me, I don't watch like a bit of a film, like 3 hour film, 4 hour film. I'm not going to watch an hour or half of it
Mm.
and then come back to it. I want to
yeah,
watch it
yeah,
that whole sitting and just
same.
and do it. I mean, some
Yeah,
people I have heard, 3 hour film, they're like, I'm going to do 90 minutes. But I
Yeah,
think,
okay.
what if at that 90-minute mark, it just kicks in for another
Yeah,
40 minutes,
yeah.
which
It
is
can
going to
ruin the
take you to the end
experience.
of the movie?
It can absolutely ruin the experience for you. I kind of haven't done this in a while, but I did used to watch like on my days off. I watched 3, 4 movies a day. I would probably just before I go to bed, I'd watch a movie and go, I'm too tired, I'll turn it off, and but then I'll watch the second half the next day, and maybe try and stay in that same zone or that same
Hmm.
mood for that movie. Uh, but the experience is different. Like I find just in with my not lifestyle, but just with my living arrangements, I'll put a movie on and it can take me almost 3 hours to watch an hour and a half movie because I'll start it before I have to make dinner and then I'll put, then I'll come back to it after I've made dinner. Like it's not a massive break, but that's kind of how I have to watch movies sometimes to make so I can
Hmm.
watch them. Other times it's, someone will rock up to the house. I have to pause it and talk to them or, that type of thing. But otherwise, yeah, I prefer to sit and watch them at all at the same time. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. It's,
Yeah.
I don't know, the vibe that you're getting from the film at the
Mm.
time, could be an ultimate high, and then you just stop it for whatever reason, something happens, and try to go back to it, and it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
It's not the
Yeah.
same. So
Yeah.
it's
It
kind of in
is.
the
Yeah.
moment.
Absolutely true. Yeah. You just lose the entire vibe. It's annoying. Yeah. And it does ruin the whole experience of a movie. I mean, each movie is its own experience. So yeah, it ruins that. Did you want to get into the release roundup?
Yeah,
We'll,
yeah, for sure.
maybe we'll go a title each at a time that you do the title, I'll do one. Happy with that?
Yeah,
So if you
for
want to,
sure.
do you want to start
I'll
with shout
go.
maybe, or I don't know, start with whoever you
Yeah,
want, but
I mean, scream and shout. I know
yeah.
they're the same, but they're kind of
Yeah.
different. Scream does a lot of more action, horror, and
Mm.
thriller and stuff.
We'll class them as
I
one for
mean,
the purpose of this.
well, that's it. So, I was going through, the September stuff that's already out or coming out. The Strangers, top of the
Mm.
list. That's not a film I'll watch often. I mean, yeah, I would buy it, but
Is that
it's
the
just
original one
very,
with Liv Tyler?
yeah,
Or
it's
it is? Yeah.
yeah, very
I
not the
hated
new
that.
one, the first one. It's a very
Yeah.
intense movie. I'd have to be in the mood to watch that,
Okay.
and still has the most chilling line I've ever heard in cinema. Why
Okay.
are you doing this to us?
Mm.
You were home.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
still, I just got to chill just thinking about it because that could happen to anyone in real life as
Absolutely.
well.
There's a few movies
The,
like that. There's also a Funny Game, which was a Haneke movie, and but the
yeah,
real I've only seen the American remake with Naomi Watts, and that movie just fucked me up, man. Like that whole ending. That's just that's a similar thing because you were home, like no reason, just
if
because.
if the remakes made your head a mess,
Yeah.
then don't see the original.
Oh,
It's
really?
it is more intense.
Really?
Um, very very intense film. I've only seen it once,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
not
know if
something you go
I'd
back
watch
to.
it again.
Yeah.
No, it's just that sort of domestic violence,
Hmm.
torture related stuff. And it's just a very those people, the villain, very soulless. And it's like, I mean, yeah, there's people like that out there in the world, but
Yeah.
is it entertaining to watch that sort of stuff? Well, I
Yeah.
can't watch Hostel. Can't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw the first one.
Mm-hmm.
People rave about these films,
Yep.
and I've never seen the ones after it because that was borderline enough torture. I didn't
It's
find it
torture porn.
entertaining,
Yeah.
yeah, at all. It's I
Yeah.
just
That's
nah,
confronting. I've seen
forget it.
Hostel once and I actually thought Hostel was really good, but yeah, I've never seen it again. But just touching on the Strangers theme, and I think
Hmm,
Shout are doing the future release of Hush, the Mike Flanagan movie, which is another very
yes,
similar. Was that on your list to talk about?
that was going into November, so
Okay.
I didn't
Is
go that far
No,
into the
no, that's
film.
okay. That's cool.
Uh, but yeah, that one I
I
think I
saw that
have seen it.
recently. Yeah, you have?
A long time, probably when it
Yeah,
came out.
yeah, yeah.
Be good to check that out again.
Cool
And,
movie.
Scream doing it. The transfer will be immaculate, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. I want to pick that up for sure.
But yeah, apart from Strangers, we've got another one, Doomsday. I don't know if you've seen that.
I don't know if I've
I've
heard of Doomsday.
very apocalyptic sort of dystopian world. You've got everything is pretty much cactus in the world, and
Yeah,
got this tribe against this tribe going at it.
that's right up my
I,
alley. I love those type of movies.
I think you'd really enjoy it. I've had it on the Cinema Cult Blue for a bit since it come out here in Australia, and to see
Bob
out
Hoskins, right?
maybe he might be in it. I haven't seen it for a while. It's
Is it
got
from
I
2008?
can't think of it. Can't think of her second name. Her
Rona,
name's Myra,
not
Myra
Rona
something.
Mitra. Rona Mitra.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
it.
it's the same one, Bob Hoskins. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yes,
I'm just
it
looking it
is
up on
that one.
IMDb as you're talking about it. Yeah.
It is a really action-packed story film. It's
Yeah.
really good. So I would pick that up as an upgrade.
Okay. Oh, yep.
Obviously, I mentioned Stepfather. I mean, I'm so keen to get that.
Yeah, mate. We're so spoiled. I actually had there's a guy on one of my Facebook groups who has his own YouTube channel. He's called Slipcover Steve, and he posted a thing. I didn't even watch the video because I'm not granting him the time, but something about Best Buy has killed physical media, blah blah blah. I said, mate, there's literally no evidence to say physical media is dead. We're so spoiled for choice. And he just went back, the evidence is all there, my man. And I'm like, okay. And I just ignored it because I'm not getting, I couldn't be bothered with those arguments. Sometimes I can be bothered with those arguments. I couldn't because
So is it more I'm upset that Best Buy
I,
was
I, I
died in the ass and
that's the impression I get
yeah,
because so many comments were like, no, it's not, dude. Like, pull your head in. And yeah, anyway, and people bogged him. And the admin of that group actually had to put up their own post and stop reporting Slipcover Steve's post. They kept reporting he hasn't broken any rules, which is fair. Like, people were just upset with him. But yeah, I mean, to say, look, to be a physical media collector, an
mm,
avid one, and then to decry that physical media is dying, mate, you're after clicks, and that was what I said in my post, mate. I said you're after clicks. Stop talking shit because it just really pisses me off. Like, have some positivity, and when you look around, and you know, me and you are going to talk about that positivity. Watch out! Just we've covered half of one label at the moment. What they're releasing, like, we're spoiled for choice.
I mean it's easy to get roped into some keyboard battle.
Oh yeah,
I mean
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's not why we're posting all the love for the films that we enjoy, but you get one person that's like this movie, that was total bust, hated it.
Yeah,
This person over here, that's one of the greatest things I've seen in a long
yeah.
time. I mean,
It's
an
art.
individual,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's art. It's how you perceive it, what
yeah.
what you saw in all of that film and what you took out of it, how you can
And
relate to it.
And it also depends when they hit you in your life too, right? Because I've got a mate who a couple of years ago there was an Irish movie called The Quiet Girl,
Yeah.
which is I'm not sure if you've seen that, but I love that movie. That was an instant 5 stars, one of my favorite movies of that year. Because I have children, I know what children, and then it's basically about a girl who it's just about a girl who's sent off to another family to live over the summer because her family is, they're Irish. So the dad's a drunk, the mum's having another kid. Like, it's basically a really stretched to the limits family. And it's a really heartbreaking story. And I have a mate who is a cinephile, like a proper cinephile, and he liked the movie, but also he doesn't have kids to relate to it. So I'm just trying to basically say that you'll love a movie at certain times in your life. Like, I could have watched that movie when I was 20 and thought this is shit. But as a dad in his mid 40s, it's like this movie is phenomenal because it just speaks to me. Like, art speaks to
Mm.
some people. Some people look at the Mona Lisa and go, so fucking what? Some people look at it and go, this is amazing because they see what's in it and other people don't. And that's why the Transformers franchise has made $8 billion. That's why Fast and the Furious is up to 10 fucking movies. It's like people like to be entertained, I guess, for the polite way to say it. And they're entertaining movies, I suppose.
Mm.
But yeah, it's to say this movie's shit as a definitive argument is a terrible argument. Like,
It
okay, what are the
doesn't really,
reasons?
yeah, it doesn't hold anything. Like,
No, it holds no value that a top comment like that. Like, tell me the reasons why you think it's shit. You just can't just say it's shit and give me no reason. And I've called people out on it like that on Facebook before too. It's like, if they can't answer it, I'll just say, well, it's okay to say you don't understand what you're watching. That's fine. And just admit to that. Like, it's not the end of the world.
I, I think the prime thing that I'm hearing a lot lately, and I haven't seen the film yet. I wasn't sure if I want to see it or how I feel about it, and it's the new Crow. And
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I've heard some good praise, and I've heard some pretty rotten
Yeah, okay.
reviews about it. But in the end, it's been created. It's out there.
Hmm.
It's never going to be the original never going to tarnish the legacy of Brandon. But, someone wanted to create this. I mean, there's plenty of remakes. I've heard this isn't really a remake. There is some
Okay.
different twist to it. I mean, it's playing at IMAX in Melbourne. I mean,
Right.
they're not just going to, waste screen time for something that they don't think people are going to go see. And there's
Yeah.
been a lot of hype about it too. So,
Yeah. I've only heard bad things about it, but I'm not a big fan of the first Crow. Like I started to watch that here a few weeks ago, just before the 4K, because it's on Stan, before the
mm,
4K came out, to see whether I want to buy the 4K. And I honestly couldn't get through the first 20 minutes. And again, that might have been the mind space I was in at the time as well. I might go back to it and go, yeah, this is actually really good. So again, it's one of those things. I didn't say the movie shit. I never thought the movie was shit. And if one of the big educators for me in respecting movies, full stop, any movie, regardless of how I feel about it, is watching the Netflix series called The Movies That Made Us. Don't know if you've seen that.
I think I've seen some of it
I'd highly
a while
recommend
back.
watching them there because the fact that the consistent through lines through each of those movies they cover is this movie was nearly not made. Like they cover Die Hard, they cover Halloween, they cover so many movies, Home Alone, like almost every movie falls over and never gets made. Like it's an actual miracle that any movie is ever released, honestly, with what has to go into them. When you hear the
Hmm.
producers of those actual films talk about it, the barriers they had to face, it's miraculous that any movie is made, let alone comes out and is good. Honestly, it's crazy. 100% recommend go watch the Die Hard one because that movie, to be what it is, faced so much shit. Like that movie should not have been as good as it is when you see what happened behind the scenes. Like it's bananas. Anyway, hey,
Yeah,
anything more from Shout or Scream?
I would I would say ones that I'm excited about for October, definitely Shocker. I mean, I think for us with Screen Factory and Shout in Australia, we're incredibly privileged to be able to get these. People who've been buying these for a long, long time in America and they keep getting these upgrades that they already have, different
Yeah.
artwork, I get that. I've heard some pretty, interesting comments about
Okay.
new releases that they put out. And then these people that have been diehard from day one go, oh, when are you going to put out something new that I don't already have on my shelf?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, I get that, but I don't have it on my shelf. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to buy it and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And that's one of them. The old release of Shocker, different artwork, probably got a
Mm-hmm.
flip variant on the
Yeah.
cover. I'm super keen for that. And also, they're doing Drag Me to Hell. And I
Yes.
bought the Vision
Yeah. I've got that too.
lenticular cover,
Mhm.
and I thought that transfer was pretty decent. I
Yep.
mean, could they make it much better? I mean, some of the CGI in that is questionable.
Yeah. You're
It
gonna
is.
make it worse.
Well, that's it. Sometimes I find older films, the way that they, resto those is
Yep.
better than restoing a digital. I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
come out the same.
Titanic is a
So
good
that's
example of that.
I've got that down there, and I haven't watched it purely because it's so long,
Have
and
okay.
I don't know if I have
Have
it
I
in
discussed
me.
that with you? Was I talked to you about that about because it is an
Um,
immaculate transfer, mate. It is spectacular. One of the better transfers you'll ever see in your life, except for one scene. And that's because of the digital effects at the time, with they've
hmm,
digitized. There's a scene where they're running down the hallway through water, Rose and Jack, and they've digitized Kate Winslet and DiCaprio's face on these stunt people, and it looks
yeah,
atrocious, mate. I rewound it and slow-moed it and just pissed myself laughing at it. That one 5 second clip, but the rest of the three and a bit hours is just phenomenal. Like that's what I'm saying with a 4K upgrade. Some of those digital effects can come out very, very second class, second rate. Yeah,
oh, I'd say the one of a big standout is The Fugitive
yeah.
on the
The
Blu-ray, and I
train.
watched it. Yes,
Yeah.
that scene on the 4K as
Mm.
opposed to the Blu-ray, it's two different scenes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
they clean that up so well that you
yeah,
don't see how fake it looks as opposed to the Blu-ray. Because the
yeah.
Blu-ray is like, yeah, you've got this screen going here and that screen over there, and then there's old mate Harrison. Whoop,
Yep,
off
yep.
he goes. It looks a little bit ridiculous, but the 4K, it actually looks a bit more real. and that's what you want to see. You don't want to see how fake it looks.
I guess that's the
So
difference when they put effort into the transfer too, because I only own Fugitive on DVD, and I wouldn't watch the DVD of that since, for probably 15 or more years.
mm,
So I actually probably should be a good idea to compare what they look like, but I'm not one of those watchers that will compare format types. I can't be bothered, to be honest. If I had the time and whatever, I probably would, but can't be bothered. Yeah.
I'm in a day to do such things.
No, not when all you want to do is actually watch movies. There's not
Mm.
enough time in the day.
I'd say the only other one out of
Mhm.
the list that I'm pretty excited about, haven't seen it for a while. A bit bummed it's only on the Blu-ray, but oh well. I don't know if we ever got a Blu-ray of it here. As Above, So Below,
Okay. Yep.
which is quite a good thriller of this group of people that are going to the catacombs under Paris, and the horrors
I
beneath
knew
the
I'd heard of
city.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it well, since it came out, but it's not a film you can find just anywhere. So, it
Yeah.
came out, and then I think it came out on DVD. That was about it.
I'm
So,
just looking it up on IMDb as well. Again, I had heard of it, but I've never seen it. Like, yeah, but kind of back to your point about when people complaining about releases coming out, can you release something that I don't have on my shelf? Like, movies come to people at different times as well. Like, especially me joining the horror bandwagon, maybe 20 or 30 years too late. Like, there's a lot of these movies that have probably had releases that I'll never be able to buy because they're done. But I'd love to have
mm,
them on physical because I'm only just watching them now. So having those re-releases and reprints is, I don't know, it's pretty important, I think, because movies live forever. The releases maybe don't. Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to sneeze. I'll try not to.
move on to the next label that you're keen to do on your list.
Yeah, I'll start with Arrow. So I'll just cover what they've had. Yeah, I do like my Arrow and Kino are probably my two faves.
Mm,
If you want to nerd out that much. But so what they've had released previously, which is Silence of the Lambs, which is I've only just recently upgraded that to Blu-ray, so I'm not going to bother with the 4K of that. The Mexico trilogy, as you mentioned, which you got, Heathers, which is these are just the highlights too, just things that interest me. So as I said at the start, this is self-absorbed lists. Anyway, Heathers, which is another something else I've only upgraded to Blu-ray recently, and that's a great movie. With Nail and I is something I keep hearing good things about. I started to watch it again, was one of those ones I turned off, and now I was watching it on SBS. And then they removed it, so I wasn't able to go and revisit it.
me and this one.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I want that. I'll get it one day.
Watched it a few weeks back. I'd never seen it before.
Did you like it?
It was different.
Okay.
I
Yep.
think I would need to watch it some more.
Yeah.
It's a very acquired taste of
Yeah. Okay.
dialogue and the way it plays out.
Yep.
And I look at it as being two guys that are in a boat facing the most tragedy you could in a lifetime, spanning how many days or weeks.
Right.
And one of them is like, I'm getting off this ride. You come
Right.
with me or you don't. And that's what I got out of it. And
Okay. I like
you go
that.
through life with friends, and
Yeah.
one person is going to go this way and they're
Hmm.
going to better themselves.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
person is going to keep going straight and just
Self-destructive.
keep
Yeah.
going into turmoil.
Yeah. Nice.
And I purely wanted to get that because that sounds silly, but the font on the cover
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just made me think of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And
Basically the same cover.
it is the same sort of
Yeah.
artwork, the same sort of font. And
Mm.
I mean, they're both very intense films. I mean, this film is quite intense, very dramatic. And Fear is no different. It starts off light and bubbly, and as it progresses, you go down the spiral with these guys
Yeah.
into the drug abuse, just depths of hell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you come out the other side at the end, and you're like, wow, I'm feeling
Yeah.
pretty dark now. But yeah, for sure, I'd give it another go. I think that the script is pretty good. Like
Okay.
how it plays out, it's very off topic at times. But yeah, I understand if you watched a bit and went, no, I
Yeah.
need to
Yeah. Yeah.
stop this for a minute.
Yeah,
I
it
get it.
wasn't one that I was like, I don't like it. I just wasn't in the mood for it. It wasn't grabbing me. And that's probably
Hmm.
because of my surrounding. It was probably a Saturday afternoon. It was sunny outside or something. I was like, yeah, this isn't the time to watch this. And then they removed it from the service. So the main reason it interests me is because I follow Letterboxd on the socials, and then they ask people their top fours, like what their top favorite 4 movies are, because that's a feature on Letterboxd. You have a list of what your top 4 favorite movies are of all time, blah, blah, blah. And so many people say With Nail and I. I'm like, okay. And I've picked up a lot of movies from that, and I've
Yeah.
picked up a lot of great movies from just watching people say that. And when so many people say With Nail and I like, cool. That's the reason I watched and own Paper Moon, old Peter Bogdanovich movie with Ryan O'Neal. And I can't remember her name, but that's a fantastic movie because I picked it up because of Letterboxd. So they're doing good work. The next Arrow release that just released is one I actually brought because I watched the movie, saw it was being released, and pre-ordered it. Was The Long Good Friday, which speaking of Bob Hoskins from a little bit ago, such a cool movie, man. Like, just great. Bob Hoskins, I don't know, he should have been nominated for Oscars for that role. He's superb. And the last one that they had that has been released that I, again, only just recently, well, say in the last year, picked up on Blu-ray was Crimson Peak, the Guillermo del Toro film. I'm really keen to see that on 4K because that, if any movie is going to look good on 4K, to be that, like the colors and the bleakness and the reds, it's going to be great. So that might be an upgrade one day when I'm feeling more financial and it comes down in price, maybe, but hard to justify an upgrade yet when I own the Blu-ray.
I've heard that transfer is off the charts.
Good,
I've
is it?
never seen the film,
Okay.
but I've heard the transfer is unreal. The box alone, the packaging
Yeah.
of it
Yeah.
is to die for, from what I've heard from other people.
Does look
And
pretty
it does
cool.
look good, but like you say, do you want to spend X amount on this? Like for me, I've never seen it. What if I
Yep.
don't like it and I've just
Yeah.
spent all this money and now I'm stuck with it?
It is one
So,
of those ones of Del Toro's. I'm not sure if you know Del Toro very well, but you've kind of got to be a fan of well, I've only seen it once, right? And it made me a more of a fan of his, because some people love him or they think he's overrated, but he's actually very, very, very good. And Crimson Peak is one of those movies that's about a 3.5 star for me. But I know on
yeah.
rewatch, like it's very good. It's just really well made, and it looks beautiful, and that's why I'll be keen to upgrade it. Maybe when they do a standard edition, hopefully. Yeah, so it's hard to explain, having only seen it once, but absolutely worth the watch. Same as one of his early movies called The Devil's Backbone, which is very much like Pan's Labyrinth.
Well, Pans is one of the only ones I've seen of his. And
Okay.
now that you've just said this, it's made me look at what my phone is sitting on. So just bear
Yeah.
with me, because this will spin you out.
Ah,
Yeah, Del Toro.
yeah, and Bayona. Yeah, I would like. I've seen that in the store, and I'm like, I want to get that. I've had it in my hand. I'm like, no, not yet, not yet.
I think I've seen it like when it come out on like a
It
long time
reads very
ago.
well.
And yeah, when we were in Adelaide over Christmas, I picked this up because it was getting super hard to find. And I'm like, well, I want to see it.
Yeah,
And those box sets are quite nice.
they are.
Still,
Yeah,
still in the wrapper. Haven't opened it yet.
I am going to look it up because I want to. I do want it.
It's,
$70. So that's why I didn't buy it. So if they've still got it somewhere,
I'd, I'd
like
say well, JB might still have it on their site. I mean, it only came out in that box, but you know, pretty good for bringing them out in these special edition boxes and then re-releasing them,
yeah, it'd be
making you
nice if
think,
they
yeah,
did that.
you can only get it here, but we're going to release it without the slip, and it's just
Is it only one movie or is it 2 movies?
I
It says
think
it's in a big box for only one movie.
it's got the orphanage 2K scan. I'm sure it had something else going on in it. There's like a bonus featurettes disc as well.
The $65 is going to be hard pressed to get me to buy.
Yeah, I'd wait until there's a sale.
Yeah, $65 is tough for one movie,
Which
honestly. I know why it's
anything
in
imprint,
65 bucks.
you wait for sales
Yeah,
because then
yeah,
you can
yeah. Pretty much.
just
Yeah.
bag a whole heap of them. I mean, there's some stuff they put out that I wanted and I was pre-order it. I mean,
Yeah.
that like American Psycho, that was like no
Yep.
brainer.
Yeah. So
I'm
yeah.
all over that.
I've been wanting that in 4K for a while, and I was just like, okay, I actually got it with the bundle pack, not the entire month's bundle pack, but those two others, Pandorum and whatnot. It was $150. It was $90 for bloody American Psycho by itself. Well, you got the other 2 movies with it for 140, I think. I was like, well, I'd rather spend the extra $50, and get these 2 other movies I've not seen. They look okay, so yeah.
Well, I thought Pandorum, I hadn't heard of it, and then it come out, and I was looking at it, I was like, is that a series? Is it a mini series? Is it a show? But it's just a movie, and it sounds a
Yeah.
little alienish. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh, I actually might enjoy that. So
yeah.
I maybe down the track, if they're still around, I might grab one. But
That
yeah,
that will
I'm
definitely come as a standard release, I imagine, at some point for $35. I mean, when they release those lenticular cases, they normally release the standards, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they'd be
I
silly
mean
not to. They've got the stock to do it.
I mean that those cases are great. I mean,
Mm,
everyone lost their marbles over Wolf Creek, and it
yeah.
sold out really quick. And I just
Mm,
happened to be in JB looking at something else before work one day,
right.
and they had three copies in there.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just bagged one. I'm like
Yeah.
sitting on the shelf in the Blu-ray rack. It would be good if they actually had some sort of protector covers for those, just because
Yeah.
as soon as you unwrap it, that back cover, it just pings off.
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't make me really excited to open them quick, because then it doesn't sit well. It's prone to damage, and like to keep
Mm.
everything very pristine. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's what we need to do. Keep our stuff clean. No matter my mom was tracking somewhere else. So for Arrow, for Arrow, what is coming for Arrow that interests me? And well, I've already pre-ordered Trick or Treat, which I mentioned before. That's a really hard to find on any format, anywhere, because I tried to after I saw it. That's such a fun little movie that honestly deserves sequels. Why it didn't become a franchise is beyond me. It's got a great villain, just just fun. Like it's an anthology movie, so each kind of this different. It's a folk. Have you seen Trick or Treat?
I've never seen it. I've heard
Absolutely recommend.
only good things about it.
It's so fun. It's got a good cast, and it's all these intertwined stories that it's kind of an anthology, but they kind of wrap up together because of the villain, the similar villain. It's so much fun. And the next one, which is a movie I've never seen, but kind of I don't own it, but I have had the opportunities to watch it lots of times, is The Chronicles of Riddick. I love Pitch Black. I think Pitch Black is awesome. I have the 4K Arrow of that, which I still haven't checked out. So I'm keen. I wouldn't be mind seeing Chronicles of Riddick, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's one of those ones. If I'm bored one night, I'll probably be a late night, half asleep by. To be honest, I do that.
Yes,
I do that a lot. Half watching something,
that's
half browsing.
sometimes the best buying moments in
Yeah,
those times.
absolutely, absolutely, they are. Because you push the button, yeah, fuck it, purchase, and it's like, too late now. It's all right. It always works out for the best. They've also got Elvira coming, Arrow on 4K, which I don't know if I'm interested. It interests me, but I'm not sure if I'm ever interested in wanting to buy it. But I don't know. Elvira was a bit of a cult icon back in the 80s, I'll say. I think it was the
Hmm,
80s. Do you know
yeah,
much about it?
I don't
If
think I've ever actually seen it.
no,
I know
no.
of Elvira, and when I
Mm.
grew up, we had an Amiga 500, and I had
Oh yeah.
the Elvira game,
Wow.
and you had to
Hey.
go around her castle and find things and kill things, all that. But I think if
Yeah.
you grew up in a time when that was very relevant, and I
Mm.
mean she's still an icon, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you grew up in that time, then you probably would have appreciated her way more. I mean, I wouldn't be keen to get it just because I'm not a diehard fan like a lot of other people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
same. I mean, if one day, a few years' time, it's cheap, might be worth the pick up, but not a rebuy. But it is interesting for some reason. And the last one from Arrow for me that interests me is a J horror called Tommy. Don't
Mhm.
know much about it, but I read about it yesterday when I was looking, preparing for the show. Ask me now. I can't remember really much what it's about, but I know it read interestingly enough for me to go, yeah, this looks cool, and it might be a purchase down the track, to be honest. Tomie, and
Yep.
it's J horror, which interests me as well, because no one does horror better, I think, other than, well, Australians do horror better than most, I think, and then Japanese do it very well as well.
I think we're seeing that more now. I mean, you see the remakes of, The Grudge, The Ring.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
of course, they're well done, but if you've seen the original and how terrifying those films can be, I
yeah.
mean, there's
What the
no.
fuck, man? They're creepy as fuck. Like, that's insane. Yeah. Did you
That's
want
one
to?
box that
Sorry.
I'd like to get is that Yuan box set with all
Mm,
of them in it, the 4K box set. But it was it was through Zavi. Then Zavi wouldn't ship to Australia anymore.
yeah,
So it's a lot harder to get that. Uh, and the people that did have it here, there's different sellers online, super expensive.
yeah. I got
Like,
one through Rear Waves, through my go-to UK site. They're really good.
Yeah.
And it
Oh,
was on, well, it was definitely on sale. I wouldn't have bought paid full price for it, but yeah, it was reasonable enough. Did you want to look at Severin now?
Severin. I'm pretty sure I did write that down, or did I? I don't think I
All
did.
good if not. It's not a big deal.
I mean, Severin, they do a lot of interesting releases, a lot of stuff I've never heard of, a lot of European stuff, Italian stuff. I only have a handful of Severin in my collection. Like I got The Blood for Dracula, which I still haven't watched yet, and I've heard good things about that. They do great
Okay.
box set. Probably the last one was that one,
Ah,
Opera
Argento. Okay.
4K, because I had
I don't know if I own any Severin, to be perfectly honest. I do, but I don't know.
the
Ah,
the
you got it
German.
twice.
So that was the first one. This was super hard to get. I was so
Right.
lucky to get one. It's pretty fat box, that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas this one is a lot thinner. And
With that too.
I was sort of expecting it to be this fat, and
Hmm.
it's not. So I was a
Oh, wow.
little disappointed, but I don't have much Severin. I still look at what they've got, but there's not a lot of titles on there that really pique my interest just because I've never
Yeah.
heard of
Yeah, no, that's fair. From what I understand, they do some rarities, I would say, I guess, to put it in a way. Okay, I'll jump onto Criterion then. I haven't got a lot to cover for Criterion. Repo Man, we discussed before, and All of Us Strangers, which was, I don't know if it's a Netflix movie, but I saw it on Netflix when I last had it. And that's okay. That's a one and done for me. I don't need to watch that again.
it.
Pretty good performances, a really good cast, like two great actors. What's coming is Happiness, Philip Seymour
Oh,
Hoffman movie. You've not
yes.
seen it? You like it?
I've seen it once
Yeah.
at the cinema when it came out,
Oh, okay.
and I walked in there. I didn't know anything about it, but back then, if you saw an R-rated film at the cinema,
Mm.
you thought you were all that because I was only like 18 or so.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I've got to check this out. And I walked out of that film and I went, what the hell did I just watch?
Oh, nice.
It has some very intense themes to say the
Cool.
least.
I like that.
Great film though. I haven't pre-ordered that yet, but I will get it because that film
Mm.
is super hard to get anywhere.
Yeah,
VHS and DVD and a knockoff Blu-ray. That's about as good as you get.
interesting. I
Mm.
love Philip Seymour Hoffman's probably in my top three favorite actors of all time. And I would try to watch. There's a lot of his stuff I haven't watched because he's in sneakily a lot of fucking movies, Hoffman. And yeah, I'm keen to watch anything. So I'm absolutely keen to watch that. And there's another one I've got lined up called Mahoney, something Mahoney. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Criterion are also releasing The Long Good Friday on 4K, which I found interesting that them and Arrow are doing that.
Yeah, sure. That is
They've
very
obviously
interesting.
they've obviously opened up the license there to distributors, so good for them. Yeah. Are you going to tell us about Vinegar Syndrome now?
Well, before I get on to that, I was going to say,
Mhm.
where is Gummo in your selection? Like,
Gummo.
Gummo,
I do not know that, and that's probably why I've never. Is that a Criterion release?
it sure is.
Okay. I probably did see that, and I was like, I know what that is. I just kept scrolling.
I think
Self-absorbed.
if you, and I'm not because I haven't seen it, but if you were into Trash Hunters,
Okay.
Gummo might be up there with it.
Right.
Completely twisted film
Okay.
that I'm shocked that they've even released it one of their range.
Right.
Like it is a very hard to find film anyway, but it's
Yeah.
not something you'd watch often. I was just chucking that purely in there for a laugh, but
Yeah.
you
No,
haven't heard
it's
of
all
it,
right.
so
No, I'm pretty sure I scrolled. I would have seen it in the list, but I would have scrolled past it. I didn't. I'd never heard of it, so it didn't interest me. But Trash Humpers is one I did look into, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to watch this. It doesn't do much for me from reading it. It seems so weird.
I thought it was interesting because I'd never heard of it, but Umbrella went to a lot of trouble to
Hmm.
put that one out and the amount of deluxeness about it for a film that I don't know. It just to me it doesn't seem like something I'd be keen to watch. It just seems a little bit
It must
strange.
be. It's definitely maybe a cult. It's obviously a cult favorite that they're relying on cult people to buy it. I don't know. It does seem like a weird release, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of other films I could think of that you'd want to deluxe the
Yeah.
gills, but that one I don't
Hmm.
know. I guess I don't get the cult status because I've never heard of it.
Hmm.
Obviously, it had a market somewhere and it's gone along its way. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway,
But
anywho, yeah,
Vinegar
the
Syndrome.
vinegar is an interesting label. I love what they put out. I love their packaging, but they do release a lot of stuff that is so underground.
Yeah.
Unless you know, easily in your 50s or maybe 60s, you may not have heard of a lot of it.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but in saying that, I do a lot of blind buying with BS, and some of the ones that I've picked up from the last sale, kind of just give it a go. Uh, and just one in particular, really, this one here, Evil Judgment.
Okay.
I wasn't sure about this when they
That's a
released
beautiful
it.
cover.
You can't even really see how good it is, but this is all very reflective on the blood and
Yeah,
it's
it looks good to
embossing
me.
out.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. They're a bit blind at times with what they release. And I wasn't sure about this one, but it was in a sale and I was like, I'll
Yep.
give it a go.
Yep.
And Leah and I watched it and we actually both really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It
cool.
was you kind of knew who the villain was, but then you kind of didn't know who it was, and then when it all folds out, you're like, wow, there you go. And I
Yeah.
think back, they films from back then they weren't made like they are now, so there's a lot
No.
of different angle work, and you don't get the same sort of soundtracks that you did back then from the 70s and 80s. They put a lot of effort in to make those soundtracks so great and very sinister and give that mood and the vibe. So that's just purely an example of, just some underground stuff. But they're doing a lot of different like like Mexican stuff as well. Like I think Hell's Trap is a little bit interesting. I mean, it's got a bit of a like the main cover. It's got this guy with you know knives on the end of his fingers, like the sort of an
Oh,
Elm
right.
Street sort of vibe. I don't know if I'll get that, but it is interesting nonetheless. But I think one of the ones that stood out to me, and I have pre-ordered it, Bloodbath at the House of Death, which
Yeah.
got Everett in it and Vince Price.
Oh,
And
wow.
I remember this film from back when I was younger. And as I was saying, when my dad hired Beverly Hills Cop from Caravan Park Deli, they had this there. And I just
Oh,
looked
wow.
at the cover and I even remember it from then. And I was like, wow, that looks really interesting. Little did I know then it was like a horror comedy. But I've
Mm.
still to this day never seen it. So we were lucky enough to get that released here in Australia on Blu-ray, and I did think about getting it, but I'm glad I didn't because now I've got this deluxe slip edition of it. So
Yeah, cool. That sounds
that'll be
interesting.
interesting. Obviously, all the this cinematography releases, I've picked up all of them. I
Okay.
find those to be quite good. There's always a lot of stuff I've never seen. The 4K stuff's really good. Just their transfers in general are usually pretty solid.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty keen. Thieves Like Us,
Yeah.
Shelley Duvall, the late Shelley
Yeah.
Duvall. That's
Mm.
going to be quite good, and I've never seen that before. Joyride, that's another one. They're coming out, and their next pre-order for Cinema Graphy range is one called Go Fish. Never heard of that.
Yeah, right.
It's from what I can see, it's in black and white, and I think it's got just a bit of like a lesbian relationship sort of story about it, which should be interesting. But yeah, I mean, they can be. I found them to be a little bit hit and miss at times, just because I don't know all these underground titles. And then
Yeah.
if you want to really blind buy to the eyeballs, you can do pretty well with BS. So
It does sound like some really underground stuff they got going on at Vinegar, don't they? Yeah. That's
they they just
interesting
unearth
label.
these films. I don't
Mm.
know where they find them, but I know earlier in the year they were talking a lot about their restoration processes, and they got a new machine that they were using, and it's just next level. And you can really see it, like if
Yeah,
you've got the
right.
bells and whistles TV and the player, and it just really pops out for these older films that would have sort of remember them on VHS or a TV version or something like that. And I think we kind of just become too, I don't know, privileged with what we're watching and forget how good these look now
Yeah.
as opposed to what they would have looked back then. You don't have
Absolutely.
lines of
Absolutely.
crackle going through your VHS like
Mm.
for an old tape. This is
Yeah.
like a full awesome version of it. So
The heads are
Yeah, I'm
always
pretty
clean on a 4K.
well. That's it. I mean, probably the only other one I was super excited about that I picked up in that last sale was the Rad 4K,
Oh
and
yeah.
that was interesting because I come into VS after that had been released, and it sold out in instant.
Wow.
There was a lot of buzz around that. So that was like a full like lenticular box set when it came out. You would have looked that up on eBay. You're looking at well over $300 to get one of them.
Yeah.
They only did, I think, 1,000 copies of it. I think someone could correct me on that. But this new lot they brought out, it's just a snap case, and they had 1,000 of them. And when I saw that, I jumped on it because it sold out ridiculously quick. I
Huh.
think I have seen that film, but not for a bloody long time. So that would be exciting. I like 80s, bikes,
Yeah.
skateboards, that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. And if they're all the diehard collectors, they're doing like special like VHS deluxe boxes of
Yes.
different
Yeah.
releases that they've done. I don't know if you've looked into Divinity.
No.
That was another release that they did earlier in the year, and it's all black and white. It's got Stephen Dorff in it.
Okay.
Just about this bit of a dystopian sort of atmosphere. People that have got this divinity drug, they take it, lift weights, just be the best you can be. Right? It
Right.
sounds like that in the film. It was a very interesting film. It's a great finale. You
Okay.
have to see it. But yeah, I really like the overall artwork of that. The spot gloss finish on the box. And that was just a bit of a blind buy because I'd never seen it. There was a bit of hype about it. I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that.
Yeah. If you know there's hype around a movie, if you know it's gonna be good, yeah, it's absolutely worth a blind buy, I think. Well, for
Um,
me anyway. Yeah.
That's pretty much all for the VS stuff. I mean, I did pick up Devil Times 5, the 70s movie about kids that were on a bus that crashes and ends up in this scenario, and they are
Yeah,
all
right.
highly deranged and kill adults.
Oh wow. Okay.
For the
That
early
sounds
early
cool.
70s, it sounds pretty intense. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
keen keen to check that one out. I've really been enjoying their older films and just the transfers and the cinematography of it, the soundtrack. You don't really see that sort of vision anymore because everything is so digital. So yeah, that's pretty much the things that I'm keen for. The old VS group.
Well, moving on to Kino Lorber. So their recent releases have been, as Shane said, he's picked up Sudden Death. These are just the ones that kind of interest me. Alphaville, which I actually own on Blu-ray because it had an Australian Blu-ray release. That's a French movie by Jean-Luc Godard. I've not seen it yet. It's been got the yellow sticker on it, has had for a while. And there's a Travolta one here too called Change of Gold, which I don't know. I think Travolta is quite an interesting actor. Like he's been through the whole gambit of up and down and good and bad. So
Mm,
yeah, it sounds interesting. I mean, Kino don't have a lot. They've got their film noir box sets coming. They've what they're up to 21 of those film noir box sets. 21 actually has Cloak and Dagger in it, which is a movie I'm keen to see. But I can get that separately somewhere, I think, and they're very expensive to buy here in Australia. And sadly, Kino don't ship to Australia. So if anyone from Kino
I
happens to listen to this episode,
I
change that.
really that bums me out. And Screen Factory, both of
Mm,
them, because especially with Screen Factory, because they do those rad variant slips that are way better than the
yeah,
regular cover. And if you are a hard
yeah,
collector and you want that poster in the tube and all that extra goodness, you just
yeah,
can't get it unless you know someone who could get it sent to them and send it to you.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, Keno have their awesome sales and
Mm.
can't really snap all that up. They don't ship here, which I find really weird
Yeah,
and annoying.
I've got
But
American friends who have offered to get stuff for me and send it. But at the end of the day, with the exchange rate, it kind of turns out to be more expensive when you're paying for the shipping and that as well. Like it's in the end, I just wait for sales if it's that bad. So and anyway, there's a couple Kino have big ones that Kino have coming. The
mm,
Lady Killers is the old British comedy, which is not the
yep,
Tom Hanks Coen brothers, and that's a I own that. I have a Blu-ray of that. That's such a fun movie. It's so cool. It's excellent, to be honest. They're also re-releasing for the fifth for its 50th anniversary Murder on the Orient Express, which is something I'm kind of keen to pick up, the
yep.
original one. And Cowboys and Aliens, which was panned when it came out. I remember going, this is kind of average, but it's still something I would really love to own because it's something I want to watch again.
For sure.
Yeah, it's an I'm not 100% sure now when it's coming because I didn't write that down, but I'm keen to have it. Yeah, I don't know.
It
Yeah, what are your thoughts
it'd
on
have to
that?
be soon, surely, because
I think it is October, I think.
that they released that they were bringing it out probably easily 3 4 months ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I'm just looking on their website now when it's actually coming. Yeah, 15th of October. So yeah. So it's close, and you can get US dollars, $26 on the 4K on Kino
Mm,
website, which is what, $45 here, $40 here. That's pretty good.
absolutely, yeah,
Mm,
that's decent. You know,
yeah,
anything over $60, it
I
pushes
think
it.
I do think that price point might exist because the movie wasn't a massive hit. If it was a massive hit, it probably would be a bit more expensive, I imagine. Yeah, I'm just saying if it's on Amazon here, it's something we can buy. No, well, on Amazon Australia, no, there's a Blu-ray for 28, but wait for that. Okay, what's
I
our
mean,
next label, Shane? Sorry, there you go.
I was just gonna say while you were touching on Kino, they've got one of the films I've been chasing for a long time called Rampage.
Oh, yeah,
Not to be confused with
not the Rock one.
newer Rampage
Yeah.
that comes in three different parts, but the old 80s Rampage with
Mm,
Michael Biehn, because that film has only ever been available on VHS and Laserdisc.
yeah.
And it's a great movie. Even to buy on VHS is like ridiculous, and it's not going to look as good. But when they said they were doing a 4K of that, I almost fell off my seat because I was
That's
like, been waiting.
that's that nostalgia selling for you. If the VHS is expensive, that's nostalgia for you. Like I said, distribution companies, if they're trying not to tap into nostalgia, then they're a failing business, I reckon, because nostalgia sells. What are you covering next? Second side?
Yeah, from Second Sight. Second Sight is an interesting one because they don't, like other labels, just release a slate that is like 10 miles long. They put in handful, but the content is just, it's up there. So obviously, we'll just go straight off the bat with the Hitcher. I mean, this has
Yeah.
been in the works for 2 to 3 years now with updates along the way. And when they actually release they're going to put it out and we can get it. I
Mm,
think the world stopped for a moment just because there's so much hype about the transfer on this and how much work they put into it that it was just going to be phenomenal. So
yeah.
I think that should be out. I think it's the end of this month. They should be. I got mine from Outrun. I did look at their site, but it just turned out to be a little bit more expensive with the shipping. So I was like, oh, just let someone else do that legwork there. But super excited to get that one. I think that box is going to be a big one,
Mm,
and it looks immaculate. I haven't
yeah.
seen it for a while, so it'll be like a fresh watch.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, they've got like that's for September, October, late night devil,
Yeah.
which
Are you?
it's interesting because of the whole umbrella thing, and
Mm,
they've kind of went to all this trouble to put this film out, and they did a really great box set, and all the goodies you get with it, and it's a Blu-ray. And then just around the corner, as we've discussed before, there's the premium edition, just hanging out, just waiting to
yeah.
go. Hey guys, here I am. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't even seen the film. I've only heard like rave reviews and praise for it. That it is really good. I don't know if you've seen it.
What's the
I
movie
had
again? Sorry, I was looking
Late
for
Night
it.
with the Devil.
Oh, I have seen. I love Late Night with the Devil. Yeah, I have. I got the Blu-ray of that. The Umbrella Blu-ray. I was a bit sad we didn't get a 4K in Australia for that. Yeah, it's a cool movie. Based on Don Lane, which fascinates me even more.
That's what I found so strange is that it seems like Umbrella really had to go on this film. They were going all guns blazing with it, and then it turns around second sight does the 4K version of it. I don't know why they didn't just go to 4K straight off the bat.
Yeah,
It probably
it's
it's just a bit strange. There's a lot of release for Umbrella that they've
well
only got the
the
Blu-ray, and
fact
then another label just does the 4K straight off.
more mind-boggling on that though is that the fact that they actually helped fund the film. Like it's an umbrella film. So for them not to
Yeah, That's
maybe
what I
own the
mean.
physical rights to that. Maybe it was going to cost too much to have the disc made in Mexico and shipped to Australia. The price point was probably going to be too high, but I would have preferred to pay $50 for a 4K than $30 for a Blu-ray. Like honestly,
Mm.
that's surely they could have sold them for $50. I don't know. It's a really mind-boggling decision. And they hurt their own local market because a lot of local people will import the 4K and not buy the Blu-ray. So they'll
Mm.
probably have thousands of Blu-rays in stock that they'll have to sell for $12 in a couple of years, you know. So it's a strange one. It is a strange
I
one.
mean, that sort of thing as well. I know there's certain people that aren't fussed with 4K, and that's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah,
happy.
absolutely. Yeah.
They're happy with the
Well,
Blu-ray release and
yeah,
how good it looks.
yeah.
That's fine. But for us other nutcases out there that want to see it in the best way we can,
Yeah,
we're always going to push for that premium view.
yeah,
Just other than that, there's not a lot of other stuff that they've got out in September, October. And
yeah,
they just brought out Your Next, which I did pick up.
yeah.
That's sold out super quick. Even
Did it?
on their site, it's gone. I
Yeah, there's a
get it.
big call for that. I watched it and I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of average, to be honest. I wasn't
Yeah,
a big fan of
I
it.
haven't seen it for a while,
Mm,
so it'd be interesting to rewatch it. I am that I missed out on High Tension.
yeah.
I really wanted to get that one because that film is a real head twister. It's just,
High tension
yeah,
is.
super
Oh,
gory. I believe it's a French film, and basically these two girls are off, go to a country house, meet this guy. He's a bit weird, and he turns out to be this killer. And without giving anything else away, it's well worth checking out. And the ending is just a real punch in the face. It's great.
okay. Yeah, I like endings
Um,
like that. It's good.
so I've got a Blu-ray, another label here put it out. Can't remember the name, what the collections were. That they came out in gold slip covers, and
Okay.
yeah, I'd have to send you a pic later so I could show you. But
Yeah.
also another one that they put out was I Stand Alone, which I've only seen once, and I did pick it up in Adelaide. $10. It's an absolute, very intentional, not
Okay.
one that you would watch often. If
I'll have to
again,
look it up. What
yeah,
was the name of it
you
again? Because my memory is not.
I stand alone.
I Stand Alone. What was the other one you
Yeah,
mentioned as well? High
high tension.
High Tension.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm
Um,
writing them down.
so even Irreversible, I can't watch that movie again. I know people praise it, and I
Mm,
just found it unbelievably rough. I mean, it's very disorientating with the way they did the camera, with the music. It's almost like it was designed to mentally just unravel your brain while you're watching it. It's just very discomforting, to say the least, to watch it. And just the violence in it was just a bit
yeah.
much for me anyway.
Yeah. Well,
But
speaking of high violence, I don't want to go off too many tangents because we're already talking for a while, but watched, it's getting a Blu-ray release at the end of October here in Australia. Oh my God, why can I not think of it now? I actually need to look at my letterbox because I'll tell the story while I'm looking up the name of it. Like I mentioned before, my mother-in-law is here and she's kind of, it's spooky season. So September and October is where I ramp up my horror watching
yeah,
because I don't know, why not? And she watched it with Inner Violent Nature. That's a 2024 release. Have you heard of it?
I have. It got a couple of screenings here in Tassie, and I
Okay.
know you. I'm pretty sure it was you or someone else said they watched it and they weren't sure if they liked it or they didn't. It was different,
Yeah,
but
it is different. It's a plotting. After having a few days living with it, I did really like it. The kills in it, the violence in it is incredible, like with practical effects too. But anyway, my
hmm,
71-year-old mother-in-law sat and watched it with me. She was riveted. She was on the edge of a seat. She loved it. And this movie is gory as fuck. It has some of the best kills you'll ever see in any horror film. But it's basically just this big fat dude just walking through the forest, and these kids are in a cabin in the forest. He's actually mentally challenged. I'm not going to say the word we used to say when we were kids, but he's basically after. I don't want to give away too much of it either, but he's kind of resurrected. He's like a Michael Myers type. He's kind of unkillable, and
yeah,
just the way he kills these kids, like it's dumb. Like you watch it and go, just fucking run. Just run from this guy. But they stand there and watch him in fright. And then he kills them in all these inventive, amazing ways. But it's just what's the right word? Just how graphic it is and
yeah,
the the just the practical effects, man. It's brilliant. Like it's a great film. Simply for the fact that it does harken back to those 80s horrors. Yeah, it's worth watching. And I did digress this too much. Yeah. Anyway, I'll definitely recommend it if you can hunt it down. Be worth a blind buy especially if you're in the horror.
I probably would pick it up because I did
Mm,
hear the practical effects alone, and it's pretty inventive with how he
yeah,
does the killing.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it would have been cool to see it at the cinema on the big screen,
Mm,
but I don't know. We only get a handful of screenings in Tassie for some films. If you didn't see it in the first few days, it's gone.
yeah,
Some of the bigger
yeah,
titles are out a lot longer, but
yeah.
that would have been like, and there's a cinema out at Glenorchy, and I reckon it was there. And I
Uh,
don't really want to go too often. It's just
like a lot of
kind of a
people.
bit out of the way to go there just to
Yeah, yeah,
see a movie. But we did see Talk to Me there because that was the only cinema that was
yeah.
screening it. So it was cool
Talk
to
to Me is
see that.
fantastic. That's one of the best horror movies of the last 15, 20 years.
It
Like I
is
said,
so
Australians make the best ones. Oh, it's crazy.
simple and effective and like,
Yeah,
in your face, and just
which is,
everything about it was intense.
yeah, can't wait for the sequels, to be honest. Because it's one of the best endings not of all time, but a great ending. I'll just say it's a really great ending. Talk to Me as well. I love that.
I mean, the sequel has a lot to live up to, but these guys they're kind of like
Yeah,
geniuses.
Raka Raka, man. I don't
So
know if you've ever checked out the YouTube channel, but they were offered based off basically what they did on YouTube. They were offered to direct a DC movie, like a superhero movie, as their first movie, and they rejected
hmm,
it to make Talk to Me. And now they're set for life because with this, it's going to be a big franchise. They're making a prequel, I think, before a sequel,
yeah, right.
from what I understand. But they're going to, like James Wan and Lee Winnell when they made Saw. They've made how many Saw movies? How much money are they making off all the Saw sequels? Plus they're directing their other movies as well. Like Australians do horror right. I don't know why, but we do, and we kind of always have. It's impressive stuff. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the Conjuring films are pretty
Mm,
chilling.
yeah.
I mean, Insidious. The first half of that film, I felt like I couldn't breathe,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and then it sort of goes off on this tangent, which is
Well,
slightly
Winnell did the Invisible
comical,
Man
but
as well.
not. Oh, great film!
Yeah, and he's also doing
Wow.
another remake of a Universal Monster classic. I think he's doing Black Lagoon. What's he doing? Doesn't matter. I
I
don't want to
did
hold us up.
I did hear about something that he is bringing out, which is going quite good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
he is a bit genius going from
Mate,
his recovery days out to film reviewing and now movie
mm,
making. Like he's done pretty well for himself.
mate. Yeah, absolutely. What is he doing? Directing. Sorry. Why is that not there? Wolfman. He's on Wolfman. Yeah. Nice. They've made it. Also, he did Upgrade as well, and they've completed the TV series for Upgrade. So that's coming as well. That'll be interesting.
I haven't seen Upgrade, but I've heard that's
Dude,
pretty good watch.
Upgrade is fucking fun, man. It's cool as it's very cool. Yeah, it's got Winnell style behind it. It's made in
Mm,
Melbourne, so you'll see some Aussie actors in there, and then they did this
yeah.
futuristic nightscape. You'll absolutely recognise Melbourne from it. Is it up to me to go into Umbrella now?
Oh, go for
Or
it.
yep. Sorry, we digress too much. We knew this was going to happen, but that's part of the fun, right? So Umbrella,
Yeah.
as we just spoke about, Late Night with the Devil has come out. I got the Blu-ray. Joint Security Area, which is the Park Chan-wook film I never knew existed until Umbrella released the 4K. I have that as well. Super keen to watch that. And there's another one called The Quiet Family, which I don't know much about, but it might be something I pick up in the future. It looks kind of cool. Coming, they have Caligula, which I have on pre-order. Thesis, which looks interesting. I don't know if you know about that film, but I might watch that one day. It might be something to pick up again when it's not $70 fucking dollars or whatever it is. Isn't it? And there's two more. I've got The
Yeah.
Isle, which is a Japanese movie, which looks really interesting.
Mm.
Japanese, the cover they always have these cute little Japanese girls on there, and they make the film look interesting. I don't know if I don't know. That might be just a me thing. Cancel me all you want. And Triangle, which is, I think Triangle's an Australian film, right? Or it's not, but it's got
Um,
Melissa George in it. But that's got a good
yeah.
reputation, so I'm keen to see that.
Have you seen it before?
No, no.
It's a great movie. I haven't
Is
seen it
it?
since it come out, but
Okay.
that's a decent release for sure.
I think there's a
Um,
Blu-ray of it in. JB now, like from a previous release at my local store anyway. Should be something I'll look up, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm pretty
But
sure
anyway,
it did get a Blu-ray release
yeah,
like years ago, but that's a pretty tight looking box set, that one.
yeah, that's $35 at JB. That's reasonable for whatever release, a Madman release. Yeah, so I mean that's it. I'll just briefly touch on Umbrella, and you are now going to cover 101. Love
Oh,
101.
101. 101 is interesting. It's a bit like Second Sight. They're a very
Mm,
handful of titles. And
yeah,
obviously, you've already mentioned, is it Icelandies?
you can say Incendies, but it's
In,
the French is
Incendies?
Incendie because it's French, but
Ensembles? Yeah.
Incendie,
So
yeah.
we were chatting about that one before. And what else do they have out there? The Sword and the Sorcerer.
Old classic.
So they're the two, September and October is Sword and Sorcerer, but they didn't really see much else that
Okay.
new that's coming out. I mean, same as Second Sight, they bring out like a handful of titles, put a lot into them, and go, "This is what we're offering." And
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool. Just how much
they're still growing, I
love.
think. Right, 101.
Yeah.
They did
Well,
a release of Memento and also Glengarry Glen Ross, which I picked
yes.
up. When I say 101 doing God's work, they're films that Memento was something that I'd never picked up when it was obviously released back in the day.
Hmm.
And then they re-released it. I'm like, fucking great, I'm grabbing that. And then they did Glengarry Glen Ross, which is something I'd been looking for forever. Because like I said before,
Yeah.
movies come later to people in certain times in their life. And I want to own that. And it's a great release too. Like what they give you, like they're really good releases. Yeah.
I mean, those two, like I would like to get that Memento one day. That's a
Mm.
great film,
Yeah.
and I've seen a lot of pictures of what you get with that. It's pretty solid.
I think I just got a standard Blu-ray, to be honest. I don't know if it's got anything with it. I haven't opened it. It's still on the shelf.
Because it did come in like a bit of a hard box sort of thing. It had like
I
lobby
I might have got,
some stuff
yeah,
from the film
yeah.
in it, replica stuff. So it did look really good. And Glenn Ross, I mean, it's the
Mm.
sort of midday movie that wasn't.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has that vibe about it, which is, I haven't seen it for a really long time, but it's got some pretty good actors in
Oh, it's a
it.
phenomenal cast. It's a stacked cast. The one thing that really pisses me off about Glengarry Glen Ross is that the Academy were trying so hard for Pacino to get his Oscar that he was the only one nominated in that film for an Oscar, where Jack Lemmon just tears strips off them all. Like Jack Lemmon is my all-time favorite actor. We're not talking about Seymour Hoffman
Mm,
before, but Jack Lemmon just had such range and variety. And in Glengarry Glen Ross, even in his in part of his later career, he did a 12 Angry Men, but he tore strips off everyone. But they nominated Pacino because they wanted him
mm.
to get his Oscar. Yeah, because Jack had already won 2 or 3. But yeah,
Go on,
he's
Jack, share the love.
yeah, yeah, exactly. He deserved one for that because my God, that guy is brilliant. I loved him. Love him. Anyway, sorry to derail that again. I'll do that. Do you want me to
Um,
move on to Vivision /
yeah,
Imprint?
I'd say keep moving with that. Wasn't much else to chat about with the 101.
Yeah, that's cool. Again, we'll try and touch on these quickly. Vivision have released Halloween 2 and 3 in their standard edition Blu-rays.
Hmm.
I own the 4Ks of those from Shout, so that can interest me too much. Dread came out in 4K, which a lot of people have fallen over themselves for. Not a film.
Yeah,
I
they
don't think I
really
ever
have.
saw it. That's the Carl Urban one. But it's got a good reputation. Obviously better than the Stallone version, but I've never seen it. Not too interested in it, but I thought I'd mention it because it's kind of interesting. Have you seen it?
I maybe once when it come out. It's not something I was like dashing for. Um,
Yeah, yeah, no,
but
same.
like hype everywhere about it.
Yeah, there was, right? Yeah, people were
Mm.
shitting themselves for it. I mean, as we've both mentioned, we both picked up American Psycho on 4K, which was a no-brainer. There's only 2,000 of those released, so good luck getting one if you haven't already. Lords of Salem and Pandorum, also two that I picked up as part of that purchase. Movies I don't know a lot about right now because my mind is on other stuff, but they look interesting. Looked interesting enough for me to get them because I do look them up before I buy them. And what they have coming is the old classic Voyage of the Damned, which does look cool to me.
Yeah.
And there's a TV series, a British TV series called Man in a Suitcase, which I think it just interests me because of the title, to be honest. It kind of looks interesting. I don't think I'll ever pick it up, but I mean, if I see it cheap one day, I might, but it does look interesting. I'm going to skip ahead because there's some October releases that I really want. Suspiria is not one of them. That's the obviously Motivars and Aha. I can't remember what the guy. Oh, it was what a Nino that did Suspiria, the remake. And that's on 4K,
Yeah,
but I think that's at such a ludicrous price. Then no thanks.
it's pretty. It's steep.
Yeah,
It's
I do own
steep.
the Blu-ray of that. The Blu-ray's fine. It's not a movie you're going to watch every year, even, But what they are bringing out of ones I really love is the Abbott and Costello horror box and also the Mummy
Yeah.
collection. So
Hmm.
Mummy movies from 32 to 44. They'd be awesome, but again, I'll wait for a sale. I don't think they're going to sell out too quickly of those. So I'm happy to wait for a sale for things like that. That's Vision imprint being and coming. I mean, you're up to 88.
88 is like
They're
a
in another
boatload.
interesting label, aren't they?
They do a lot of Asian cinema.
Yes, yeah,
So if you're into that, you're going to be
especially martial
having,
arts.
flat out,
Yeah,
flat out.
yeah,
So, one of the ones I am really keen to get is Legacy of Rage, which I don't
okay,
think I've ever seen it with Brandon Lane to be really good. So for them to even take the time to put out something
mm,
like that is pretty awesome. And obviously they're doing American Pie, which is pretty cool
yeah,
because I
yeah,
reckon on 4K that's going to clean up really well. So I'm definitely going to get that one. Um,
yep.
I haven't pre-ordered that yet, but it'll be time to get it. Just a lot of Asian stuff with 88. I mean, they don't do all Asian stuff. I mean, they
No, no, no.
redid Vertical Limit Evolution. So I don't
Yeah,
think many other
I've got that
people have done
evolution
that.
from '88.
That looks the
It's cool, man.
business.
Yeah, it's cool. It's
Um,
a cool box. It's a nice shiny slip cover. It's fun. I'll show it to you after this if you want. It's good.
oh, for sure.
Mm.
I had looked at picking that up off of Outrun so many times. And Vertical Limit, I love that movie. I've already got it, the older
Mm.
Blu-ray, but these new ones, the transfers might be a little bit better. I haven't seen any fine details about it, so I mean, it just looks awesome. They do really
Yeah.
great slip covers. Yeah, other than that, they really just put out at least 10 releases shot.
There was one
Yeah.
from them that interests me, and that's Project A, parts 1 and 2, the Jackie Chan set, which looks interesting to me from '88.
Yep.
But there is a Blu-ray version of that on Rare Waves, which I'll probably pick up rather than pay unless the '88 version comes onto Rare Waves because it looks cool. And I love Jackie Chan, man. Like Jackie Chan, he's a god. Like honestly, absolutely.
It's like Jackie Chan, his older works, they are just going above and beyond to
Yeah,
restore all that stuff to 4K. And
yeah,
there's not much of his stuff that probably won't be available. So I did see that, and that box looks quite big, but
yeah. It
some of
does.
their stuff is quite expensive for
Yes,
some of those bigger boxes.
yeah.
It all comes down to the price. I mean, what are you willing to pay? What aren't you
What?
willing to pay?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
It's actually kind of amazing how much extra cost the better cardboard makes to a movie, to be honest. Like it's quite expensive to get all that stuff printed and set up. It's bananas. Yeah. I'll cover off Madman quickly. They have The Driver coming in 4K, which, well, that's only
I
30
did see
bucks.
that.
It's only 30
Yeah.
bucks at JB, and I only got there was a Blu-ray of that release recently too. I
Yeah,
think it
it was
was
in one of these imprint box sets, had it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have the standard edition of that, and it's a good movie. Like, the driver was quite good. But anyway, Madman releasing a 4K, which I'm not going to bother upgrading. But if you don't own it, for 30 bucks, absolutely worth getting. That's a really good price. And they also releasing Stop Making Sense, which is the Talking Heads thing. That's interesting because
Yeah.
everyone's falling over themselves. So that, I'm like, what's the hype about? So that's a hype thing for me. Like, I don't think I'll buy it, but I think I might try and watch it sometime. It might be on a streaming service or something. I might watch it. And then they've got Horizon, the American Saga, which is something I would never buy because they've fucked it up. And the following versions aren't even been released. So who knows if we'll get the physical of those as well. So they're actually still deciding. Not sure if you know much about the story that went on around Horizon, the American Saga. Basically, because it failed at the box office, because the second one was supposed to come out 6 weeks later, they put it on hold and they're actually deciding what to do with it now. The theory is that they're going to release it as maybe a limited series, the remaining parts on like Paramount Plus or something, or whoever funded it. It's not going to actually be released in cinema, so you're only going to get the one movie version on 4K, and with the sequels, who knows if they'll be released at all on physical. So yeah, hard to follow that up. I will jump into October. What they've got coming is Nightcrawler, which is ludicrously priced. So I own Nightcrawler on Blu-ray. I'm not gonna buy another Blu-ray of it at $90, I think it is. It's absurd. After Sun, which was a fantastic movie. Australia's finally getting a Blu-ray release of that when most of anyone who wanted it in Australia has already imported it. Guilty as charged. Love After Sun. And What We Do in the Shadows is getting the 10th anniversary re-release. I already own that. It's not going to be worth upgrading for me, but a spectacular, hilarious movie. I love What We Do in the Shadows, the movie as well as the series. Have you ever seen the series of that?
I've only ever seen the movie and when it came out, and it was very interesting to say the least, but quite classic all the same.
Yeah, I love What We Do in the Shadows. I think it's great, and the series is, if not as good, better. Like the series is so funny, man. Like it's absolutely only 5 seasons of it. I think they're not making any more. It's so good. It's so hilarious. Really worth checking out. Any comments on any of that stuff?
No, not too much. Oh, there was one you were talking about. Oh, when you were talking about like Horizon, I haven't seen it, but
Yeah, no, I mean,
when they put something out, like the one that came to mind for me was a leader Battle Angel,
oh yeah,
and it gets right to the end, and right there, and then it's done, and they haven't done anything else to follow on with it. And I love that movie. I think it's
yeah, Leader's good. It's really
well
underrated.
done.
Yeah,
But you want to know what happens when
yeah,
they're going up to the world in the
yeah,
air, and then you don't know what happens, and
yeah.
it just stops. You know, stuff
It's
like that.
it
It's
failed at the
annoying.
box office, so they go, well, you don't need to make more of them. Yeah, it's sad. It is sad. Because like TV shows, like what streamers do to TV shows, if they don't get eyes on those shows instantly, then they think they're failures. Where they need to give things time to breathe, right? Like they need to give things time to get word of mouth, and with so much content out there, people need the time to be able to go and watch it. And the same goes for movies. Like how many movies that were panned critically back in the day and made no money are now cult classics? Like they're now massive movies to because nostalgia is one big factor in that. So yeah,
There's plenty of
I
that
agree.
out.
Yeah, that's right. Like it's just pig-headed, wanting instant numbers. These what these studios want. They want instant numbers, instant eyeballs. If no one's watching, well, they cancelled that new Star Wars show. What was that called? The Acolyte. Only got one season because it got ripped apart online by homophobes. For one thing, I never watched it
Mhm.
because I don't have the time to watch a lot of TV, and plus, and I love as much as I love Star Wars, like I have to be selective in what I watch, and it's one of the big reasons I stopped watching TV is because you can get yourself so involved in a show, and then it either goes three ways: they cancel it on you because no one else is watching it, it turns to shit because everyone's watching it, and they milk it to the point of ruination,
Yeah,
where it just becomes so bad it just ruins the entire show. And yeah, or it goes, it doesn't know when to stop. So it's really hard to watch shows, for me, or to start new ones. So I kind of like to give them time and see where they go. So I'll never watch The Acolyte now. Where if it got a second season, I might have watched it. So yeah, I don't know if you think similar on that type of thing or not. But
I've got to be really into a show to watch it. See, this is where Leah and I differ because I can watch a movie and that's great.
yeah,
Leah could watch 5 seasons of this show she loves in a day or a
yeah,
week, loves it. See, if I invest in a show, then I have to keep watching it. If
yep,
it's 10 seasons, I have to keep watching it
yeah,
and
yeah,
get
yeah.
to the end. Because the
Same.
movie's no different. I want to go from the start to finish.
Yeah,
So I find it hard to invest into a show because, I want to like it to begin with so that I'm interested
yeah.
in watching it.
Well, I find it hard to pull the plug on the show too. Like if I watch it, then I'll have to make sure I finish it. Like I mean, the big good example for me is Big Bang Theory. First 4 seasons of Big Bang Theory is awesome, and I kind
Mm.
of hate watch that for the last 8 seasons, but I wanted to keep watching. I mean, it was good enough to keep watching, but I wasn't loving it like I loved the first 4 seasons. But I still watched 8 seasons of that show, which I thought were kind of average. But anyway.
Well, I mean, I've never seen one episode of Walking Dead or
Yep.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Now, Walking Dead is still going and it's
Yeah.
branching off into all these
Oh,
other
yeah.
variant shows of Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Like, where do you draw the line? where does it stop? And I know never watched Game of Thrones, but
No, I never watched it
that
either.
last season, from what I've heard,
Yeah,
felt rushed.
yeah,
And then in the end, people disliked it a lot. And they
yeah,
were hanging out for this final season,
yep.
and it was,
And so people like me and you will go, well, what's the point in watching it at all then? Like, you know,
yep,
because I've never seen it either. And The Walking Dead I watched for I think 7, 8.5 seasons.
that's a lot.
And then I was like, this is too much. It's the same story over and over. Every season is the same story. They're moving from this bad place to try and find a good place, and they get to that what is a good place. It turns to be a bad place, and then the next season starts with them doing the same thing. I'm like, okay, okay. I found your formula now. I'm over it. Now I see what's going on. And they killed Glenn, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to watch it anymore. So it was yeah, and that was one of the ones I was able to pull the trigger on, and I haven't been able to do that a lot. So that's why I don't bother watching a lot of TV. Yeah.
I think the one most disappointing show, not because the show was disappointing, obviously it didn't have enough buzz to keep going, but Alcatraz. I don't know
Okay.
if you've seen that with Sam
No.
Neill.
No.
And it's amazing. I loved it. Great, like mystery about it all. Look it up and see what you think.
Okay.
But it gets to the end when it's really coming to fruition of what's going on and where is it heading to,
Yeah.
and they never did another season.
Oh, right.
So
Because
you
no one
just
watched it.
left there going, what now?
That's why I don't start them.
I'm invested
Yeah,
now.
exactly, exactly. That's why it's frustrating, and that's the landscape we're in. And honestly, it's streamers' fault because when TV was on TV, shows had time to grow. Like they would show the episode would air, and then they might show reruns during a morning or afternoon, or months down the
Yep.
track for people who have finally caught up on it. Now, oh, well, then they'd release them on physical, and people go, okay, I missed the first 4 episodes. I'll buy the DVD, and then I can watch it all. Shows had time to get word of mouth. Now they don't because there's so much content. People might go, oh, this is great. This is great. Look at Squid Game. That's a great example. That was instant. Everyone's eyeballs on it. Like everyone loved it. Blah
Mm,
blah blah. And that's what they expect for every show. And it's
mm.
just not going to happen. Like if every show doesn't get Squid Game numbers, then they're failing. They're not. I mean, they don't. They owe their consumers and their customers better. And which is why I gave up on TV. Like with a movie, like you said, it's one and done. You can watch a movie. It's over in an hour and a half or 2 hours, and okay, good, move on with my day or watch another one. You get invested in, and they have a resolution. That's basically, that's the point of them. Like they have a resolution, and if you invest in that TV show and it doesn't have a resolution, then it's like, I'll just give up on TV.
I think one of the best shows that we've watched was Animal Kingdom,
Yeah, I've
and
heard that's really good.
we watched it religiously from the first season. Well, there were 3 seasons, and we
Yep.
watched them all back to back, like within a week.
Right.
And then the new seasons would keep coming out, but they'd only have a episode per week.
Yeah.
So it was like old school TV.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
wait a week
Yeah.
before you went to the next one, not like, okay, we've done this season.
Yep.
There's 10 episodes. It's all there. You
Yeah.
can binge the shit out of it.
Yep.
It wasn't, they didn't do that with this one. They actually made you wait a week
Yeah.
and you were hanging for it. You wanted to see what was happening next,
Yep.
which
That's a good
made
way to
that
watch
show
TV.
really good. Oh, absolutely. That's how we
Yeah.
remember it back in the day.
I think there's pros and cons for both ways of watching it, to be honest. Like I know, like I love when I say I don't watch TV, there is some TV I watch, and Only Murders in the Building is one because that's an anthology series too, right? So that's why I like anthology stuff more than actual series. Like White Lotus, I watched White Lotus because they're different. Each season is a different story. It's not a continuation of the same characters. And I can't remember what the show I was actually talking about before White Lotus. Oh, Only Murders in the Building. Like that's a great show, but each season is a different murder mystery. So if they stop making it, well, at least that season was resolved, or if I stop watching it, I've got what I want out of it. So I'm not losing anything that way. So that's the type of TV I think I will invest in future. If it's, mini series or limited series stuff, and anthology series. That's where it is for me because you want a resolution to your story. Well, at least I do.
So you've got your scoop.
Did you want to cover Eureka really quick?
I didn't even look at Eureka.
That's cool. Look, that's fine. Screw you, Eureka. You're missing out this time. We'll get you next month.
Definitely looking at that for sure.
That's all right. I really like Eureka. Eureka do some good stuff, especially with their Masters of Cinema stuff. Like I love old movies, so they do some really good old movie stuff. I've got a lot of cool shit from them, including plus also the Police Story trilogy on 4K, which is awesome. I watched that at the start of this year. I'm not going to go over too much industry news. Not much has caught my attention, mainly because I haven't been looking or kind of spoken about it. But Sony are releasing a Frank Capra box set, 20 films in November in America. 9 of those are 4Ks. I would really be cool if some of those come to Australia. A glaring omission in here, though, is it White Christmas? Not White Christmas. The Christmas movie you did with Jimmy Stewart. Anyway, that's not any. But a really cool set, and I imagine it's going to be very expensive, probably around the $400-500 mark. But it looks cool. And from Media Play News, I just wanted to kind of cover quickly the top format sales. So we're talking about people prefer Blu-ray and blah blah blah. These are American statistics, by the way, but up to the end of August, out of all disc sales, still 56% are DVDs, which just hurts my feelings that there's still that many DVDs being sold compared to Blu-rays 25%, 4Ks 18%. The good thing that helps, though, is that 4K, the sale numbers of 4Ks are lifting. The percentages are lifting by a bit because there's so many great releases coming out in 4K, and word of mouth of those is coming, and people are starting to come back to physical media anyway. So I want to cover that off quickly. I'm not going to delve too much into it. The top 20 discs sold up to the week ending of end of August was Kingdom and Planet of the Apes, the Garfield movie, and Furiosa, the top 3. Beetlejuice made a re-entry in there, which was interesting, obviously, because of the sequel coming out. But that is it for industry news. We'll keep it brief this time. We might expand on it next month because this has been a long show. Thank you for sticking in there. But this is the big news. Now, if you want to skip ahead, if you have skipped ahead, what's coming out in Australia? I'm going to find my email. What's coming out in Australia coming up? So, all right. So a lot of you will already know about what's coming out up through November, but I'll go over them quickly. These are all 4K releases too, by the way. So we've got Bad Boys coming, which is a no-brainer, which obviously The Bike Riders, which was it's a pretty good movie. It's not amazing. I was expecting amazing and got pretty good. Orca the Killer Whale, looks interesting to me. I don't know anything about it, but it looks kind of cool. I thought it was a documentary when I first saw it, but no, it's not. We're getting Hereditary in 4K, which I'm not sure whether I want to upgrade that. Rosemary's Baby, which I watched pretty recently, which I thought it's kind of an overrated classic, to be honest. Pet Sematary is coming, the OG Stephen King one. So that's a good release we're getting in Australia. The Ring is coming also, and Twister, which I'm very much looking forward to Twister. Santa Claus, the movie, because, here comes Christmas. Smile, we're getting in 4K finally. Be cool if these come out in 4K when they come out rather than the delay, because I don't know if you're hurting your market. So, yeah. Any thoughts on any of those so far, Shane? Happy? I know because you would be aware they're coming anyway.
I was super keen, but I do have Smile 4K, but when it come out and I saw it was overseas 4K, I was like, why can't we just get this? Megan was another prime example of that.
Yep.
Which was destroying people's brains because
Yeah.
they brought out the Blu-ray and then, oh, here's the 4K steelbook. And you're like,
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
So,
I hear they do that a lot in America. They'll release the Blu-ray to see how it sells, and then they'll do the 4K. And collectors, it's very fucking annoying because then you're like, well, I could have just waited for the 4K, but if I had waited, you wouldn't have released the 4K because no one's going to buy because no one's buying the Blu-ray. So you think, well, no one wants this movie. We're not going to do the 4K. It's such a shitty situation.
I mean, in regards to Megan, I thought the Blu-ray was pretty decent anyway. I couldn't really see how it's going to make it any better. I mean, it probably is, but to the naked eye, it's probably just as good. So when you said Bad Boys, I know now you're talking about Bad Boys 4.
Yeah,
but I'm also thinking old school Bad Boys.
Oh no,
Sean Penn.
Gotcha.
And I know I did see Kino is bringing that out at some point.
Okay.
Which will be really good to see on 4K because that movie is really intense. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that. For me, Smile, I didn't like Smile. Again, modern horror. Megan, I didn't like Megan either when you mentioned that. They don't do much for me. I remember the Pet Cemetery from '89. I thought that was kind of laughable, and I don't know if I care about getting that either, but we'll see. And again, it's something I might pick up. It's not a no, but it's not an instant for me. So what else we have coming? This is all from the 6th of November. To Catch a Thief, the Hitchcock classic. I have that on Blu-ray in my favorite box set of all time, my Alfred Hitchcock box set. World War Z. I'm Australian. I'm saying Z. That is coming also 6th of November. Stardust, which was a big one that a lot of people. I've never seen Stardust, but I've heard it's a bit of a cult classic now. I think Stardust. A lot of people really love that. Ghost, which is cool. I'm kind of keen to get Ghost, to be honest. I remember watching that once
Very excited.
only as a kid. Yeah, so that should be fun. It might be a bit dated now, but still going to be good to own and have on 4K. We're also getting the African Queen, Oscar-winning Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, African Queen. I thought that movie was one of the most overrated Oscar-winning movies of all time. I really did not like African Queen. It just did nothing for me. I thought it was weird. Thoughts on any of those? I'll pause for thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen many of the Hitchcock ones. Like I know the box
Oh,
that you're talking about. It is really good.
please watch
Um,
Hitchcock. Please watch. I'm actually
I mean,
honestly thinking strongly about starting another show, another podcast about Hitchcock, or maybe just even
yeah,
old movies. So yeah, yeah.
old
Anyway,
movies are great. I
oh,
mean,
dude, they're the best.
they don't make them like that.
No, no,
So
mainly because they can't.
yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, just
it's just so many films that you mentioned that have already had the 4K,
yeah,
and we're only just getting it. I don't understand why we can't get some sort of worldwide. It's across the board.
licensing,
We're all
mate.
going to get it.
Yeah, the one
And then we don't have to pay through the nose for it when it first comes out overseas because it is a killer. I mean,
the one thing I'm learning is that the stories behind each individual release is it's such a complex industry. It's a really complex business. From my insider, yeah, it's a really complex and difficult industry to navigate, and licensing is obviously part of that. And then the fact of getting stuff made and distributed and shipped, and it's really that's why you see some Blu-rays will be $35, some will be 45, and that's not. There's just other factors that go on behind that. It's not necessarily a packaging thing. It's just it's just a weird quirk in the system. So we're also getting so African Queen ends November from December, which is where I don't think has been published yet anywhere. We're coming close anyway. So we're getting Easy Rider, which is
oh yeah,
again, another movie I watched recently. This is all kind of convenient. I didn't know this was coming. These were coming. I just watched them. Easy Rider. I really hated Easy Rider. I thought that was the best part of Easy Rider was the Jack Nicholson part in the middle where he's in it. He's brilliant and he makes the movie watchable. But I really didn't like Easy Rider. I know it's a commentary on the hippie culture of the time and whatnot, but it's aged and it just did nothing for me. Anyway, we're getting Gandhi, which I've never seen, and we'll absolutely be grabbing Gandhi. The next one we're getting, I'm actually really excited about because thank fuck we're getting this in Australia is Gattaca. That's 4th of December. Have you seen Gattaca?
yeah. I've got that one.
Do
Like
you?
Gattaca, yeah, I got it through Zavi
On 4K?
a few years
Okay.
ago. So that one,
Is that right? Years ago. Okay. That's funny that we're getting it now.
easily 3-4 years ago,
Yeah.
I picked that up. There was another one that you mentioned just before that I also got. Oh, Easy Rider. I got
Oh,
that as well.
yeah.
And that movie is weird. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
there's good performances in it, but the way that it ends is like
Oh, yeah.
that's where it's at,
Yeah.
and then it's over.
Yeah, 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 and it's not even a it's just yeah, it's not even a I don't know. There was look, these guys were Dennis Hopper directed Easy Rider, and they smoked weed throughout that entire movie, and you could absolutely tell this. Like, I mean, they would have smoked. They were smoking for real. They were high the whole time. At least Dennis Hopper was. So he was directing high, and that's I think why. I don't know why it's the classic it is. It's the classic it is, I think, because it was a movie of its time, shown in its time and people
Yep.
related to it then. I don't think people are going to relate to it too much now. Honestly, I didn't at all. Again, it's not a bad movie. It's just a movie I didn't understand, I guess, when I watched it. So yeah. Anyway, Gandhi, I'm keen for. Gattaca, I'm very keen for. Another big one coming before Christmas is Scrooged. We're finally getting Scrooged on 4K. I recently picked up this on Blu-ray because I think it's an umbrella release, but I think I could upgrade this is Breakdown, the 1997 Kurt Russell film, because that movie's fucking awesome. Have you seen that? Yeah. Have you got
Yeah,
that already?
I
Or
got the imprint
yeah,
version, which is you can't get that anymore with the slip.
yeah.
But then I see that one's interesting because that came out in that big box, and then
Oh,
it's
I did
like
it.
okay, you could only get it in that big box. That one of those I can't think what it's called, but they're up to volume 4 now.
like a film noir set or something, like a modern noir.
Yeah,
Or, yeah.
Taxi Driver was another one that was in, I think, volume 1 or 2. Stripes, they're all 4K,
Oh,
but to me, I think these ones, I thought you could only get it in this box. And
mm,
Breakdown was one of those,
mm,
and now we see it's coming out on its own. And it's like, well, for those people that just spent $300+ to get
yeah,
this massive box and all that,
yeah,
it's like, well, I didn't have to spend all that to get that one film because they've just put it out on its own
yeah.
back.
Yeah. Again, I did watch
But
that pretty recently too, Breakdown, but I'm pumped that's getting a 4K because it's talking of movies that don't make movies like that anymore. Breakdown is one of them. It's just such a cool thriller. Just yeah,
oh,
it's great.
it's a little bit intense. Like once
Oh
again,
yeah.
it could happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Real life
Yeah.
situations, and the performances
I
are
don't think it would
solid.
work as well without Kurt Russell, though. Kurt Russell and JT Walsh is a great villain. But Kurt Russell is Kurt Russell, and he's just magnetic. And that movie's great
Mm.
because of him. Yeah, such a great performance from him in that. Actually, such an underrated movie. I yeah, really like it. Anyway, Sugarland Express, old Spielberg one we're getting. I've never seen it, so keen to visit that. To be honest.
No, I've never seen that either.
No. We're also getting the Zaz collection. If you follow physical media stuff on the socials, you probably would have seen it. Is being released by Paramount overseas, but we're getting here in Australia too in December. That's got the Naked Gun, Top Secret, and Airplane in it. That's going to be worth getting
Oh
just for
yeah,
Airplane and Naked Gun.
oh
I've
for
actually
sure.
got I've got Top Secret as part of with Real Genius, a double pack that came with like a Val
Yep.
Kilmer thing. I've got that. Stand By Me, we're getting finally. I imported that a couple of years ago.
Mm.
Glory, we're getting, this is January now. Glory, we're getting the Denzel Washington one. Never seen that, but probably worth getting. We're getting Adam's Family Values. The Adam's Family, the first one is, I think, as far as I remember, some licensing issues, so we're only getting the second one. This is the big one, but I did import this one because it's my fourth favorite movie of all time. I imported this when it came out last year, I think. The Truman Show, which is,
Oh,
yes, getting the Truman Show. Yeah, that's big news. A beautiful movie from one of my favorite actresses of all time, Audrey Hepburn, with Roman Holiday. Roman Holiday is a great movie. And these last two excite me no end. I can't wait for The Quick and the Dead, the Sam Raimi, Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman just chewing the walls off that movie. So fucking good. Russell Crowe, DiCaprio, just a great movie. There's still a line from that movie that I use almost every day when someone says, "How do I spell that?" And I'll just say correctly because he's writing down their names. Like, "How do I spell your name correctly?" It's a fucking great line. And the last one we're getting, which is excellent news, is Galaxy Quest at the end of January. Have you ever seen Galaxy Quest?
oh, long time ago.
Mate, it's worth a
Long
revisit.
time ago.
It's such a cool movie. Such a cool movie. Yeah, love that. And that is wrapping that up for now. It's been a very long show.
Been
Thank you
awesome.
if you've Yeah, it has been awesome. Thanks for listening to us, and thanks if you've held out this long because my ass is struggling sitting in this chair for so long. I need to stand up. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll do another one of these shows in 4 weeks' time. In a fortnight's time, we will also be releasing our second interview or conversation show with none other than my current guest, Shane Hoffmann, the Blue Relic Hunter. Will be Blue Relic Hunter. Oh, I swore then accidentally. That will be in a fortnight's time. So look forward to that as well, because Shane is an avid collector and a great collector, and there's some very interesting stuff on his walls. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.